going to get... What did they give for him, Ali? Was it 100 on the dot, or was it
I
more
thought it
than
was
that?
105 or so. Maybe around 100. It was certainly round about that figure, which is an incredible amount of money.
I can't believe they're going to get any more than sort of probably 75, 80
That's
for
what
him. Is that what you would think?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. We had that figure in my head.
And I think
75.
if you got that, you've had him there, and I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, I don't see him pulling up many trees in that position, really. Not really. Not quite.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at just gone 1 minute past 10, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Liverpool's Mark Lawrenson's told us Mo Salah leaving now he's knackered does take some of the shine off his time at Anfield.
I would put him in Liverpool's top 10 most definitely. But I tell you what, that's a hard top 10 to get into, that.
Jared Bowen would be a great replacement for Salah at Liverpool. He's leaving on a free after amending the terms of the 2-year extension he agreed last summer. We understand those talks began before AFCON, when Mo Salah accused Liverpool of throwing him under the bus. Here's what the fans are saying about their Egyptian king.
He's lost that yard of pace. He's lost that deft touch he used to have.
Everyone's talking about the drop-off. New teams come in. I think he has been made the scapegoat. On top, he lost a good mate in the summer.
Listen, put it this way. If it calls me in bed with the wife, I'd throw an extra blanket on him.
Liverpool's FA Cup quarter-final at Man City is live on talkSPORT a week on Saturday. Elsewhere, Chelsea boss Sonia Bonpastor says refereeing in the women's game is not good enough. They had 2 goals disallowed in a 3-1 Champions League quarter-final first-leg defeat at Arsenal. Lewis Hall's expecting a nervy few days at England's World Cup boot camp. The Newcastle left-back says time with Thomas Tuchel at Chelsea means nothing now, with a few World Cup places still to be decided. England versus Uruguay is live on talkSPORT on Friday night. Meanwhile, the FA says it's proud of its target to get a quarter of England men's coaching staff to come from non-white backgrounds by 2028. That's after Reform UK MP Suella Braverman called the plans utter woke nonsense. And Tiger Woods is planning on playing at next month's Masters despite getting his arse kicked, his words, on his return to golf in the indoor TGL finals. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
2 men have now been arrested over the attack on ambulances run by a Jewish charity in London, and polls found only 1 in 4 of us are satisfied with the NHS. Amelia has more at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, where we've got a wider range of premium tyres than Britain has rainy days. Visit your local centre or book at quickfit.com today.
Cold and blustery, a mixture of sunny spells and showers. Some of those showers heavy, hail and thunder around as well. Temperatures below average.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT. So Salah will leave Liverpool at the end of the season for free, departing a legend. But has he been pushed? Meanwhile, should football clubs be used for party political broadcasts? Also today, nation to nation, is it possible to find a unified VAR approach? Should the French bow to favouritism? Will fans cry ugly at England this summer, just like they did with Arsenal? And no Champions League, no problem for Liam Rossignol. But should we believe it? Jim White, Simon Jordan, Danny Murphy, we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
I was telling some of my new best friends who were around me at Wembley Stadium, the Carabao Cup final on Sunday, that more often than not, the first time I say, "Hi, Simon, good morning, Simon," is when we're live on air. And they're like, "What, doesn't he come in and have a chat before you go on?" No. Just strolls in, ready. I have to be spontaneous.
Well, let's give,
and that is your outlook.
Let's give him some credit.
Go on. Danny, good morning.
He doesn't need to go into meetings and go over what we're going to talk about because he's already well versed enough on it and he's comfortable in his opinions.
What, are you his agent?
No, but the other shows, sometimes I do guest appearance on these other shows and they start at, say, whatever time and come in 2 hours before we need a meeting. It's like, what?
Hang on a second. On other shows,
occasionally when I get
moonlighting is what he's saying.
When I do the odd moonlight.
Gabby has to have a 2-hour meeting how to construct a sentence.
Sorry, Gab.
Danny, good morning.
Morning.
Good to see you. This is your second show this week, is it not? Because you were on Monday with who?
With
Adrian Durham and Darren Lewis.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh dear, sorry about that.
It was a good chat. Lots to talk about after the weekend, wasn't there? There was so much going on.
Okay.
You'd have enjoyed it, Simon. You'd have enjoyed it.
I doubt it.
Guys, where do we start this morning? So much going on. Unlike Ipswich, we're not expecting Nigel Farage to join us. We'll get to that very soon. Mo Salah has announced that he'll leave Liverpool at the end of the season for free. Goodness me. And then you think about it. But what do we know about Salah? Of course, he signed from Roma in 2017 for 36.5 million quid. Scored 255 goals in 435 appearances. He won the lot, yeah. 2 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League, 1 FIFA Club World Cup, 1 UEFA Super Cup, 1 FA Cup, and 2 League Cups. Liverpool made a statement, of course. He expressed his wish to make his announcement to the fans at the earliest possible opportunity to provide transparency about his future due to his respect and gratitude to them. Going to get Danny, his take on this, and Simon's take on this in a second. Salah announced his departure in a post online, in a video message of his own.
Hello everyone. Unfortunately, the day has come. This is the first part of my farewell. I will be leaving Liverpool at the end of this season. I wanted to start by saying that I never imagined how deeply this club, this city, these people would become part of my life. Liverpool is not just a football club. It's a passion, it's a history, it's a spirit I can't explain in a word to anyone not part of this club. We celebrated victory, we won the most important trophies, and we fought together through the hardest time in our life. I want to thank everyone who was part of this club throughout my time here, especially the teammates, past and present, and to the fans. I don't have enough words.
So that was that, and piano music and all. Danny, a Liverpool legend, but where does he rank amongst the Premier League's greatest forwards?
I think that's really difficult to put him in. He's up there in the conversation because the amount of goals he scored, the numbers tell you that. It's a very personal thing, isn't it, when you appreciate forward players and what you like in them. And if you talk about Alan Shearer, stereotypical centre forward, ticks all the boxes. If you like that, Henry's obviously different. He's more skillful and flamboyant, but he's in the conversation, yeah, because of everything he's achieved. I wasn't actually that surprised that this has come out. I think it suits both parties.
Yeah, Lawrenson on Breakfast said he's in the top 10 of greatest Liverpool players.
Well, I said last night, I was talking about it, and if you're talking about the greatest ever Liverpool team, he's in the conversation, and that is a credit to him because that is a wonderful group of players you'd be talking about. So, yeah, Laura's probably right. I'd probably put him in maybe the top 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Top 5. I'm thinking Kenny and Rushy have got to go ahead, obviously. Stevie. And then there's a chat around Suey and Hansen and that type. But he's
Keegan.
Keegan.
Yeah.
I mean, he's it. But yeah, I think I think he's definitely in the top
so
5 or 6.
He goes at the end of the season, Simon. Were you swept off your feet by the announcement?
No. I mean, I think it was pretty much established in most people's minds
yeah.
that he was going to go. Even more so based upon the circumstances that manifested themselves around the back end of last year.
But going a free.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the flip side of the conversation. How has that played out? There was a lot of vilification for Trent Alexander-Arnold to engineer an outcome that got a free transfer, and he's perhaps done the same thing. I know you can point to the fact there's an additional year that they could have put on the contract. I'm not sure what that would have achieved in terms of attracting any money. Maybe it could have been leveraged. Maybe they could have gone to Mo Salah, given the wonderful relationship that seems to exist between Mo Salah and the manager, and said, can you sign another year with us, irrespective of the fact that we're not going to play you for that year because we can get some money from you from Saudi. So there is a disappointment that perhaps they can't capitalise on him. I think it's been a wonderful time for Liverpool with him, and he's had a wonderful time with Liverpool. I think it's interesting to see how important Klopp has been in his career, because I wonder, irrespective of how wonderfully well he's done, and it's no doubt that he's up there with the best Liverpool players that we just mentioned, because he's been so influential, he's scored so many goals. In the Premier League era, he probably stands out on his own in the Premier League era. But, you know, you look at these things and you work backwards from it and you go, I wonder how he would have done under a different manager. I think Klopp was so pivotal. I think he was quite fortuitous to have landed at a time when Klopp wanted to play a brand of football that really lent itself towards the way Mo Salah plays. And perhaps if another manager had come in, he might not have been so impacted, but he was impacted.
Yeah, I think you called him a fair weather player at one stage.
Well, I have called him that, in the past, and that's invoked a lot of criticism about it. And I've also called him a diver, but that could be levied at lots of players.
Right.
And lots of top players could be criticised for going over easy and penalty boxes.
I think it's also, I mean, Simon makes a point, but you could argue that about most players, actually. A lot of players benefit from having a good timing with a manager that sees the qualities in them and utilises them. You know, if I look back on my own career, there's certain relationships with managers where I thrived more than with others.
Yeah.
So I think that's normal and it's fair. But
I mean, you look at mercurial players and you look at what Pep Guardiola does. Say, for example, Pep Guardiola, and this is not any of this designed to diminish Mo Salah. He doesn't track back. He doesn't work hard for the team. And he hasn't been asked to, particularly by Klopp. And perhaps Guardiola would have asked him to do something different, and that might have compromised the excellence that he did further up the field. But there's no doubt, from a Liverpool point of view, Salah's been a revelation and has been a consistent thorn in every Premier League defence's side for the 7 or 8 years where he was really at his pomp.
Right.
This year, it's a little bit of after the Lord Mayor show. There's a little bit of an ignominious exit because he's come out and had his little broadside at the manager. He hasn't performed at the level that we've been used to. I mean, it's still a high standard that he sets, but it's not the standards that he set previously. But notwithstanding it, with his little tribute video, everyone will go out the door thinking how wonderful.
I think the little bits of nonsense this season that we alluded to earlier will be forgotten. Do
you think?
Yeah, I do.
Completely?
Yeah, because there's so much good. And I think also, although he threw over the years, even with Klopp, the odd tantrum when he got brought off or whatever, the way he conducts himself generally has been super professional, you know, super fit, you know, never really too much of a problem, never a problem away from the field.
But Danny, can you really call this a little bit of nonsense? To a large extent, are we not sweeping part of the story and a significant part of the story under the carpet? Last April, Salah signed a new 2-year deal with the club due to take him to 2027. At the time, the usual kind of noises, I'm very excited, we have a great team. I signed because we have a great chance to win other trophies and I enjoy my football. And then came this bizarre outburst before AFCON, being unhappy with a lack of game time, claiming he'd been thrown under the bus. He manoeuvred himself exactly 109 days ago in front of the media to say this.
Very, very disappointed, to be fair. I have done so much for this club. Everybody can see that during the years and especially last season. Sitting on the bench, I don't know why. Seems like the club is throwing me under the bus. That's how I feel it. I think it's very clear that someone wants me to get all the blame. The club promised me in the summer for a lot of promises and nothing. So far, I'm in the bench 3 games, so I can't say that they keep the promise. And I said that many times before. I had a good relationship with the manager, and out of the sudden, we don't have any relationship. I don't know why. It seems to me, how I see it, it's someone doesn't want me in the club.
Reputationally, has he recovered from that moment?
There'll be a few people who remember it short term, but
a few.
Do United fans, when they applaud and talk about, or give the plaudits to Wayne Rooney, talk about when he put a transfer request in and wanted to go City? Do anyone ever say that? No, they talk about him being the top goal scorer for Man United, one of the best players they've ever seen. Do Arsenal fans talk about Henry in any negative way? Because he left them to go Barca, by the way, his beloved Arsenal. No.
I take your point on the Rooney situation, Danny. And
Well,
at the time,
I'll give
it
you
was
10.
like,
There's 10 players.
wow.
Wasn't that conducted? I mean, listen, I'm not defending either one of those, but weren't they just commercial negotiations where you're playing hardball that didn't carry the same sort of... I mean, what Mohamed Salah does is he doesn't talk to the press. And he does talk to the press when he wants to impart that particular wisdom at a time when the team's not doing particularly well. Should it damage his legacy? Because of course it shouldn't. Because ultimately, he said one thing over the 8 or 9 years, and his performances massively eclipse that self-centered outburst, which is what it was.
Yep.
Right, and it was a divisive, self-centered, disingenuous outburst.
Correct.
But that doesn't detract from the 9 years.
Not one bit.
Really.
Not one bit.
No, not if you want it to. If you want to make a case. I mean,
should it be forgotten altogether?
Well, I think so. I think people have spats. Wayne Rooney's spat was to leverage United into giving him a bigger deal, right? And it didn't find the way into...
Well, actually, that's not... Well, apparently it's not quite true, that. Even though you're... I think it was more about he wasn't happy with the level of players they were signing and the ambition.
Well, he got more money as well.
He did.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it had turned around and said to him, we'll give you twice the money, but we're not going to sign half the players you want, he still would have signed. The bottom line is that I don't think that Salah should be put into a category where you just condemn him for that. I think it should be looked at and said, well, that wasn't ideal. A season when everyone's expectations of Liverpool, the team were under pressure, and the team's expectation, the manager was under pressure, and you threw the manager under the bus.
But now with
Not the
Salah,
other way around.
has this announcement been curated in some way to look like he's leaving on his own terms?
Well, I think he probably is leaving on his own terms.
He's not been pushed.
Well, he ultimately, I'm not entirely privy to his contractual terms, but Danny seems to be suggesting that Liverpool have an option to take up rather than a guaranteed contract. If they have an option,
No, I think there's a guarantee.
So he's being allowed
He signed
to
a
leave.
2-year deal.
So
He
Liverpool
signed a new 2-year deal.
Right.
So it suits both parties.
So,
to 2027.
So effectively, this kind of is a drop hand mentality because I don't see why it really suits Liverpool.
Because they save the 400 grand a week for a year.
Sure, and they lose a £50 million transfer.
Maybe they don't want him for that
Maybe
length
the
of
Saudis
time.
aren't
Until.
Maybe that's not.
Maybe
the
they
Saudis-
don't want
maybe
him
the-
around in 2027.
Maybe, and maybe that's because of the outburst that we had back then, and maybe the consequence of it. But if we look at the marketplace and we look at the Saudis and what they're prepared to pay, again, no one knows the commercial negotiations. But if it's a £20 million salary against a £20 million receipt, or £30 or £40 million receipt, then surely Liverpool, it's not beyond the wit of man for Liverpool to negotiate something bigger than what it would cost them.
That's the only little bit that seems a bit bizarre. But maybe the political situation in the world with the Saudi League and all that, I don't know, that could be in there.
Well, he's departing a legend, yeah. That
do you want to go
there's
there?
no doubt about that. But does it leave under something of a strange cloud? I mean, Mo Salah trying to make it look as if he's leaving under his own terms, but to an extent, has he walked before he was going to be pushed? Do any of you think that this morning? If you want, give us a call. 03717 22 33 44. Not diminishing in any way his achievement, and the achievement's significant. 255 goals and 435 appearances. But what do you really think about the nature and timing of his departure? 81089. Matt, the Tottenham fan, and Matt, what do you know, has called in. Matt, good afternoon. Where are you at after that home defeat to Forest, mate?
Well, guys, nice speaking to you.
Nice to speak to you, Matt.
It's not a great position to be in, to be honest. And thanks to Martin's team, the gloss, the pressure has been taken away because you guys are too busy. You media lot are too busy battering a team that's 9 points clear, and you're looking for a downfall. downfall from that football club, yet you look down the road and you guys can't even have the decency within yourselves to actually start pointing fingers, and all you want to do is blame manager after manager and that player and the other player, but you just can't bring it to yourselves to actually go, do you know what? It was that previous chairman, that parasite, which I'll never give him airtime to say his name because he's Simon's mate, who he can't even have the guts, because he's too busy protecting his mate, to have the guts to actually go, do you know what? Actually, it stemmed from him because they told him, do what you please within the margins. He then does what he wants.
Yeah, but Matt, here's the thing, mate. Daniel Levy wasn't playing on the pitch yesterday when you lost 3-0 to Nottingham Forest. It's a busy one this morning. Going to be some controversial chat this morning in this very studio. Of that, there is no doubt. Should football clubs be used for party political broadcasts? Farage, with his name in the back of an Ipswich shirt. We'll get to that very shortly. In the meantime, Mo Salah announcing his departure in a post online with a video montage that he is leaving Liverpool at the end of this season for free. For free. Of course, on this very show, periodically we have spoken about Mo Salah and from time to time about his form. And many would argue there's been a bit of a drop-off in Mo Salah's form during this season. We spoke about that with former Liverpool captain Graham Souness earlier in this season, and his form was the topic.
He's been an absolute superstar. This is the nicest thing I can say about Salah. He's been the go-to man for the last 7 years. He gets in if you're picking an all-time Liverpool 11, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. I think it's his brother that's turned up this season. He's shown lack of appetite. And I'm sorry, hard words sometimes are the kindest words. And I think he needs hard words that ultimately will get him back to being the superstar that he's been for Liverpool. But this season, he has not turned up.
Is Graham right, Danny? Has he from time to time shown a lack of appetite this season?
I think it's been more magnified because he hasn't scored the goals. I don't think he's ever been blessed with an amazing work ethic defensively, but it's always been brushed under the carpet because of how wonderfully he's going the other way, which is fine, and the team adapts. So when he's not giving the output in terms of goals and assists, then it gets highlighted more. So I don't think the reason he's fallen off form-wise is because his appetite's gone. I think he's just lost a yard, and he's maybe the team setup, maybe the tactics you can talk about. Ultimately, every great player comes to a point where it just starts dipping. We've seen it many times before. And
can I put this to you, Danny? Trent Alexander-Arnold left on a free.
Yeah.
And we know what happened when he went back. Why won't the same thing happen with Salah?
Well, it's different in a few ways. I think Salah's... We don't know with the Salah situation who's done what. So is it Salah manipulating himself getting out? Is it the club kind of pushing him, which you've alluded to? Is it a mutual kind of, it's come to an end? It's different. And He's not. He's also not a Scouser.
Do you not think the landscape would have dramatically changed tectonically after Salah decided to take it upon himself to pretty much trash those around him, which is what he did? You know, a team that's struggling, wasn't playing well. Salah doesn't have these sort of interviews. Has done an interview where basically he takes everybody with him and says that it's everybody else's fault and that he's been betrayed, but I'm paraphrasing, that he's been thrown under a bus, which I'm not paraphrasing, and that he's been given promises that are not coming to fruition and people want him out of the club. Do you not think that was the key, critical, pivotal moment that would have determined a future of a player at a football club that's probably resulted in Liverpool going, as much of a legend as you are, and you are no longer worth to us £400,000 a week because you're a problem. We can't probably get out of that £400,000 a week because you hold us to our contract. So the best thing we can do is drop hands and let you walk away for free, and you can go and make that money back twice over by not having any transfer fee attached.
Do you think Liverpool decided that, Simon, 109 days ago?
Well, I would think there's probably a
definitely a factor.
Reasonable factor. I mean, I think prior to that, why would you give him a new contract 5 months earlier, 6 months earlier, with all the opportunities? I know you've got not political. I know you've got pressure behind the scenes about the idea that his contract was running down. You needed to sign him. Him and Virgil van Dijk needed to sign. Trent Alexander-Arnold was going. They needed to make sure that the Holy Trinity and the two of it were protected. But
which made sense at the time.
To some extent made sense. And ultimately giving him a 2-year deal is probably not what you wanted to do, and the player wanted that 2-year deal, I would suspect, and that's what you gave him. And now you're sat there with a player going, I don't like what hand I'm being dealt. So rather than show the solidarity behind the cause, I'm going to go out and make it about myself, and I'm going to go and tell the world and create ripples that are probably going to reverberate and not create the outcomes that I want, but necessarily create the ramifications of my words. And here you are now with Liverpool being probably forced into a situation, I would suggest, that they have to accept that the best of the worlds for them is that they don't have a player that's worth £400 a week to them anymore.
If Mo Salah was scoring the same goals and doing the same things he was last season, he wouldn't be wanting to leave, and Liverpool wouldn't be agreeing for him to leave. It's kind of a suit both parties, and that's why you've got now, obviously, the admiration coming from the fans, which is correct, and he'll get an amazing send-off. But most Liverpool fans are kind of okay with it because
they knew it was coming.
Well, also they've seen the drop-off, so they're not as going to be as. Trent was in the prime. Trent was right in his.
Well, did they know it was coming?
Trent can't turn up for training on time.
How did they know it was coming? He signed a contract due to take him through to 2027. How did they know this was coming?
Because everybody in their mind's eye, everybody that's either worth an opinion or not worth an opinion, pretty much turned around and said Salah will be leaving Liverpool after the outburst.
I think a lot of people thought, with some reason, that Salah might outlast Slot.
Yeah, I think that's probably become more clear. More of an opinion.
Well, I think. And the messages coming in, Simon, there's one. I'm not a Liverpool fan, but to me, there's hypocrisy here. Trent leaves. He was a traitor, apparently. Mo leaves. He's a hero.
Mo's at the end of his career.
But that's what
Mo's at the end of his career nearly. Trent is in his.
That's a red herring.
No, it's not a red herring. Trent was in the prime of his career. He's a Scouser. You know, they say this complete. He's going to another club who compete with Liverpool. Mo Salah's not going to be going anywhere with a club that competes with Liverpool. He's at the end of his career. He's not a Scouser. He has given 9 years.
So if he hadn't gone to Real Madrid, he'd have gone to Saudi. You think that Trent Alexander-Arnold would have got less of a backlash from Liverpool fans?
But he was never going to go Saudi, was he?
But that's not the point. The point you're saying is he's gone to a rival club that's ultimately competing.
That's part of it, yeah.
It's not because it's because people perceive him in the same way that they perceived other players that have left and engineered outcomes that suit only them. That there's an element of betrayal to the football club that gave you your start. And to some extent, while Salah has repaid people 10 times over, Liverpool have superstarred Mo Salah. He has superstarred himself, but they've superstarred him as well. And out the door he goes on a free transfer. And Liverpool could have got 50, 60 million pounds from him a couple of years ago from Saudi, and they probably could still get a fee now.
Why do we think that he won't get a fee?
Because he's going on a free transfer, isn't he?
Oh, is that what they've said?
He's going as a free agent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then it's a business decision based on the 20 million they're going to save next season.
But on the balance of probability, you know this industry as well as I do, right? You know it from being a player and having a commercial mind.
They can't take the risk.
They will have known. They will have let Salah go on a free. This is because there's a problem between the club and the player, and ultimately letting him go.
Simon, it's not the problem with the club and the player would not be as big if he was banging in goals. It would be.
But he wouldn't have said what he said. and that comes back. That comes back to the player, then, doesn't it? So when you talk about who's orchestrated the situation, how the outcomes have been delivered, it's because the player hasn't performed the way he's expected to perform. The player's had a tantrum about the fact that he's been consequenced for not performing the way he's being paid to perform, and he'll turn around and say, "I've been singled out," and possibly you might have been because ultimately other players haven't performed well enough. But you're the highest paid player in the squad.
So are you saying? Where are you apportioning the responsibility of the exit? Because what are you saying that actually
honestly,
the two parties couldn't have come to an agreement themselves, where one goes business wise? I think it makes
was there
sense.
genuity in your mind in what Salah said in December? Because I think
all about him.
I think that's the fruit of the poison tree that is the ultimate reason why this situation has evolved. Right? So he's come out. And I don't believe it's the club's fault. I don't believe it's Slot's fault. I believe it's his responsibility to perform at a higher level. And if the team's in transition, then the player's got to step up and help out rather than be out there saying, well, it's not about me.
I'm not disagreeing.
So here you are now with Liverpool never forecasting this outburst, seeing this outburst, thinking to myself, no apology, no row back from the player. Off he sails off to the AFCON. Yeah. And everyone's left with the chaos that he's left behind. That was never going to be put back together.
So what Simon, I think what Simon's saying, I think what you're saying is, you expect more criticism for him in this situation because of how it's happened and his response. Which would be fair.
I don't think Trent Alexander-Arnold never spat out the dummy. 109 days ago, Salah said what Salah said. And I'm going to put it out there because does he go with your complete blessing as a true legend of the football club, or to a degree, does he go with that reputation somewhat tainted after what he said outside Elland Road just 100 days ago? You let us know. 03717 223344.
I mean, he himself may not feel that he wants to manage a football team right now. He may feel, with the loss of his father, that that's the last thing he wants to do. So who knows what's in that circumstance?
That's a very good point, Simon. So in terms of the future, has it now, in view of what you're saying, and I agree completely, has this now become more of a joint decision for Tudor and Spurs as opposed to the club alone?
No, not really. Because if Igor Tudor decides that actually this is a welcome distraction from the tragedy that he's just experienced in his life and he wants to manage the team, and you as an owner think that actually you've seen all you need to see from him prior to the tragedy in his personal life, you're still going to have to take a view. And all people that are sitting out there going, well, that's heartless, it's nothing to do with heartless. It's to do with the reality of the world that we live in. There is no point keeping somebody in a job if you were going to take him out of that job prior to the tragedy that's in his life. It might even, without wanting to be overly harsh, it might even cement the thinking, because you've got two situations. You've got you are teetering on the point of saying this man is not capable of doing the job that we need him to do, and that's not a reflection just of him, it's a reflection of all of us, because the playing squad, us, an ownership model, everything is not right.
Yes.
We need some shock and awe, and it hasn't happened with him, coupled with the fact that you may now perceive him to be distracted for obvious reasons. So I think if your decision was made post the Forest game, in terms of you got beaten this Forest game, you were going to make a change.
When was the last time you saw someone score with a knuckleball free kick? We're going to take a look at why we're not seeing them anymore and explain a bit about how they work. The knuckleball peaked in the 2010s after that Ronaldo strike against Portsmouth in 2008 inspired academy players everywhere. Here's a young Mason Mount.
I tried to base my free kick on Ronaldo, hit the ball by the valve and it moves. So what do you do? Top corner.
Now, no ball is perfectly aerodynamic, so as it travels it creates ever-changing pockets of turbulent air, causing that unpredictable movement. Football's most prolific free-kick taker, Juninho Pernambucano, perfected the technique but didn't invent it. He was inspired by players from the 90s and even the 50s. So how do you do it? You have to hit the ball head-on with as short a contact time as possible so the ball doesn't spin. Hitting by the valve helps with that short contact time, as it's the hardest part of the football. So why don't we see knuckleballs much anymore? It's because players are being told not to shoot from dead ball situations because the XG is so low. In fact, as Opta shows here, since the 08-09 season, there's been a 10% reduction in players shooting from free kicks in the Premier League. And in 23-24, a record low of 11 free kicks found the back of the net. And the knuckleball, though spectacular, is imprecise, which is why it's becoming a thing of the past.
Wednesday morning, March the 25th. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. We are live on talkSPORT. Mo Salah announcing he will leave Liverpool at the end of the season. Departing legend, but to some extent, does he leave under a cloud? And if Trent Alexander-Arnold was deemed to be a traitor, why is Mo Salah seemingly leaving a hero? 03717 223344. Paul, big Liverpool fan, good morning. What do you want to tell us?
Good morning, Jim. Good morning, guys. First time caller. Super excited to be on the radio. Salah, Simon always seems to say things like you can judge a person by how they deal with adversity. Now, Salah's had several good years, amazing years, been superb for Liverpool. This season, as soon as it gets tough, that's it. He's thrown the manager under the bus. It's everyone else's fault and not his own. If a little bit of ownership would have been taken by himself, I think he could hold his head up high and lead Liverpool as a hero, a statue outside Anfield. It'd be amazing.
So Paul, because of that outburst 109 days ago outside Ellen Road, do you view him somewhat differently?
Totally. My opinion of him has totally changed.
Wow. Okay, Paul, thanks for the call.
But I think a few will think that way.
Yeah, Matt, Liverpool fan. Do you, Matt? Good morning.
Short term.
Morning.
Morning, Matt. Where do you stand on this?
Morning, guys. Yeah, I'm completely different. The way I see it is, last year when Trent Alexander-Arnold avenged Chef, he kept quiet throughout it all, didn't say a word, done nothing, didn't say he was going to stay, didn't say he was going to go. And that's part of the reason why, unfortunately, some of the Liverpool fans have lost love with Trent. Whereas Mo, yeah, he spat his dummy out before Christmas, but all us fans were disappointed with the team and Mo himself. He's frustrated. At least now he's done the decent thing, said he's leaving. The fans are going to give him the best ovation possible between now and the end of the season, and he's going to go out with his head held high.
So why? Yeah, but Matt, why is Salah's approach to all of this and his departure a better way to do it than Trent's was? I don't understand that. Trent Alexander-Arnold didn't spit out the dummy.
No, but last year when Virgil, Mo, and Trent were all coming towards the end of the contract, and there's speculation. Mo said he wanted to stay at the time. Virgil said he wanted to stay. He was committed to the club. Trent didn't say nothing, and he's gone, done the best thing for him, got that signing on fee for Madrid, and earning all his money, doing what he's doing. Everyone else has now stayed. Obviously, it's not gone as well as he wanted this season, but at least Mo has now come out early doors. Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm thanking the fans, and we can respect him for his last 9 years.
That was Simon.
Well, you're missing the biggest thing in all of this. It's the stage of the career is massive in terms of interpretation of fans. Stay. If you're at the end part of your career, it's completely different.
Are we not talking about conduct, Danny?
No, they're two separate issues, aren't they? We're comparing the Trent thing. He's talking about Trent. Trent is in his prime. He's a Scouser. Salah's not, and he's near the end of his career. It's completely different. And the other thing we're missing, and we need to keep reiterating here, is we do not know that Salah's been the one who's initiated this.
But think about it. The only person that's not going to lose anything out of this deal is Mo Salah. And when he signed a 2-year contract and got himself a new contract and got himself the highest paid and one of the highest paid players in the Premier League, it was because Liverpool managed to achieve, or probably on his behalf, a 2-year deal that they didn't particularly want. I think they wanted a 1-year deal. And when we heard Virgil van Dijk, the caller was talking about the commentary of Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah, what we heard was a load of old rubbish from Virgil van Dijk and Mo Salah about how they'd heard nothing from the club, no one had spoken to them, no one had given them any indications, all that nonsense, because clearly agents would have been speaking to the club. What they hadn't heard at that time is, yes, you can have precisely what you want. That's what they hadn't heard at that particular time. So when we use that as part of the architecture of a conversation to justify people's behaviour...
No, I think you're right there. I don't think they did come out and say, I'm staying. They didn't. He's got it wrong. They actually did play the game.
Of course they did. So in this instance, when you look at Mo Salah has orchestrated a circumstance where he engineered a contract as a result of his previous worth, that Liverpool gave him enormous amounts of money. He hasn't turned up until his outburst. He then had an outburst. It's orchestrated this outcome. And as a result of that outburst, if you follow the line dots and probably join them up, Liverpool are the ones that are going to lose out on a player that they've paid 400 grand a week for that has barely turned up this season, that has got a longer-term contract that was designed to protect their interests, which has done the polar opposite, and has got them out of a transfer fee. And the only person that will not be 1 single cent out of pocket in any shape or form, performance-wise or value-wise, is Mohamed Salah.
So
work that backwards and say...
Who's engineered this departure, Simon? Salah or Liverpool?
I don't think Liverpool have been resistant to the overtures from Salah coming back from the African Cup of Nations saying, well, I didn't apologise, the situation hasn't resolved itself, clearly we're not going to go forward with one another, so perhaps we should part. And rather than Liverpool saying, oh, no, if I'm reading between the lines, and maybe I'm wrong, there's a distinct possibility I could be, Liverpool haven't gone, oh, no, please not that, Mo. They've probably gone, well, if that's the way you see things, we need to engineer an outcome.
How accurate do you think that is, Adam? Good morning, big Liverpool fan. What's your take on it?
Yeah, morning, guys. Big fan of the show.
Thank you.
Look, I just feel like the onslaught so far this morning has just been ridiculous. I feel like we're talking about such a small thing in contrast to the whole career that Salah's had at Liverpool. We should be celebrating this absolute legend that's given everything for the club. To try and compare his situation to Trent is absolutely outrageous. They're so far removed, it's ridiculous. And Danny, you know that as well.
As I just said that.
This morning, yeah, it's ridiculous. I just feel like we should be celebrating a legend, not trying to taint his reputation and trying to say that, is he leaving with
but Adam, you will celebrate him for his contribution to the football club. Do you just completely banish from your thoughts what happened 109 days ago?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
is it or is it not a strange exit?
I don't think so. No, I think, like Danny said, his career's coming to an end, and he's not been the player he's been for us many times over the years. Absolutely, we all understand that. We can see that, but at the same time, the whole team's not performed, bar maybe one player.
So Matt, just before you leave us, why would he? Adam? I beg your pardon. Why would he sign a contract with the club due to take him to 2027, and then last night announce what he announced?
Well, I think, like Danny said as well, this is the best outcome for both parties.
No, but why would he do that?
Well, because he thought. I'll tell you why.
You saw it coming.
Because he thought it was going to go much better, and he's happy to keep playing well and being the league's top scorer. Of course, players do that all the time.
Is there any? This is directed at the caller. Is there any doubt in your mind that there's some value to Mohamed Salah in a transfer fee? Do you think that there could be some money that Liverpool could achieve by selling Mo Salah?
I'm surprised we're not getting a fee, absolutely.
Well, there's your question. So that leads me to the next part of the equation. Why do you think that is?
I think Liverpool are probably happy about it, to be fair, to get the wage bill off. That frees up a lot of extra money.
But if players get sold within contracts, I hear what you're saying. Players get sold within, but there's two different dynamics. There's the running cost of a player's salary, and then there's the capital value of being able to put a transfer fee into a certain budget. So if you sell Mohamed Salah for 20 million quid in the summer or 30 million quid in the summer because you've got a £20 million wage bill, you can actually book that profit at a certain time in the year, and it might be useful to you. So there's different ways to do it. But the reason that I would suspect, and you're quite right to say that this shouldn't taint the overall reputation of Mohamed Salah for his achievements at Liverpool.
Well, it won't.
But it shouldn't also be just be airbrushed out of history, because ultimately people judge people in adversity. How much adversity has Mo Salah had at Liverpool? It's been a one-way transaction. Love and adored, love and adored, love and adored. The moment you're not loved and adored, oh no, I'm not so happy about this now, I'm going to throw my dummy out. So that should be factored into it. And the reasons why Liverpool can't get a transfer fee is because that's their compromise, to let the player do what he wanted to do as a result of his outburst in December.
Is that the long and the short of it going forward, Adam?
I understand what you're saying, but I just feel like there's a lot of conversations that have clearly happened behind closed doors that no one really know about. Absolutely. Again, the call was more to sort of say, look, let's just celebrate this player. Yeah, we're trying to taint his reputation. It's also negative, and I I just feel like it's unnecessary. I think most Liverpool fans will love and adore Salah.
So when you hear 98% of the conversation is all about the talent of the player. What you think, and I don't disagree with it, you're right to have this principle, it should only be praise, and anything that anybody does that's potentially not praiseworthy should be just left to one side and not commented on.
No, it's not quite what I'm saying. I just feel like it should be more of a positive celebration. I feel
But
like
it
you're
is.
trying to just
We have been balanced.
People have been celebrating him, saying how wonderful he is.
I think we have been. Even you, to be fair, even Simon.
Well, thank you for the call. Many more calls coming in this morning. Salah on his way out of the football club at the end of the season.
Jim, just a quick, I'll tell you what will be amazing, because I've seen it before, and you will have over the years, but that last home game will be incredible.
Oh, it will be.
It'll be
incredible. And what he said outside Ellen Road will be completely forgotten about.
Correct.
Virtually by the lot of them. But you can't pretend it didn't happen, because it did. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes.
You are useless. Honestly, you're a shambles of a man. What a weekend of football. Spurs. Oh my word. What on earth happened? What is going on at this football club? We're going down. Spurs are going down.
It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT, live on your TV as well, Apple TV, Google TV, even Prime Video. Wherever you want to watch the show, you can watch the show. Former 2-weight world champion Carl Frampton will join us later on as the build-up continues to the upcoming big fight this weekend. Moses Atoma going in against the American Jermaine Franklin. We'll get to that. But in the meantime, we'll finish on Mo Salah. Mo Salah, who's announced that he will leave Liverpool at the end of the season on a free. This is Danny's club, Liverpool, we are talking about, of course. He won 2 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League, 1 FIFA Club World Cup, 1 UEFA Super Cup, 1 FA Cup, and 2 League Cups. And now he's out of there. But what we're saying is, should it be forgotten altogether that 109 days ago outside Ellen Road, he was insinuating that the football club had thrown the same Mo Salah under a bus, his words, not ours, and that he had a problem, it seemed, with Arne Slot. Simon, how intertwined is Salah's departure to this dynamic with Slot, do you think?
Well, I mean, he was unequivocal, it would appear. Well, he wasn't. No, wasn't it appear? He said he had no relationship with the manager. And he said he doesn't understand why, and the manager doesn't talk to him and all that kind of stuff. So I don't understand why there's any confusion in people's minds that it's directly related to that situation, because that's what's related to it. I listened to most of the so-called worthwhile football observers, and every one of them said, Salah will be leaving Liverpool. I think most people forecast it would be January, but I think no one would be really surprised that he's leaving, and it all stems back to that interview and the necessity for it and what he said in it.
Yeah.
That is...
Well, it is, but it actually stems back further to his poor form.
Sure, but his reaction to his
had to drop him.
So are we really getting into the real reasons now?
Yeah, of course.
Well, he wouldn't be leaving if he was happy and scoring goals and Liverpool were fighting for the title, would he? That's the world over in football.
How big is it, Danny? I heard someone say last night, this is as big as Dalglish retiring.
No.
Nowhere near it.
Not for me.
No.
Okay, you can't compare. But it's still a big deal, because the bigger problem, it's what you miss. I know he's had a fall-off season, but over the years, he's been the most reliable source of goals Liverpool have had in decades. His consistency, his durability, that is hard to replace.
Yeah. The most important people outside Salah, the Liverpool fans, Danny, and they're telling us this morning what they honestly feel. So it would be wrong not to bring in a couple more to air before we leave the topic at the top of the hour. Colin, good morning, big Liverpool fan. How do you view Salah's departure and the way it is being done, Colin? What's your thought?
Yeah, good morning, guys. I think we should have sold him 2 years ago when the Saudis come in for the big money, and then reinvested in the squad. And the centre backs are not getting any younger. Potentially we could have got another winger as well. Yeah. Kanate's got 1 year left. Van Dijk was a similar kind of outburst, and then we lost Arnold for nothing really, for £10 million. So
I think that's hindsight, though, isn't it? Because last year was incredible level of performance to get Liverpool over the line, win the title.
Yeah, but Danny, his performance has dropped within the last 2 years, and we could have got a considerable amount of money for that kind of performance level, and then reinvested in the squad. He's done tremendously well for the club, and I appreciate what he's done, but just his workmanship of late has been very poor, and I think we could have reinvested, especially when losing Arnold for nothing really.
I think 2 years is harsh. I mean, well, it's wrong, not harsh. The reality is probably after Christmas he had a drop off, maybe towards the end of the season, last 3 months, and then this season, his form for the first 4 or 5 months of the season last season was as good as his career. His numbers were a bit better than any other time in his career. Nobody, I don't care anybody I've listened to after winning the title, nobody predicted this drop-off from Salah. Nobody.
But when did his form drop off? Post getting a new contract? And when you talk about the savings that Liverpool make...
No, pre.
When you talk about the savings that Liverpool make as a result, there's no savings to be made, really, because they're going to have to go and buy a player to replace him, and they're going to have a player's wages on it. So whatever they...
They're going to have to do that a year on anyway, weren't they?
Possibly, but they could have demanded a fee. There's a fee to be had here.
Yeah, no, he goes as a free agent.
Obviously, the people who were...
And so the reason...
The money people have decided the risk ain't worth it, because what if Salah says, I'm going to stay?
And perform.
Oh, but he's not
Ultimately.
performing.
But I would suspect...
It's going to cost Liverpool 20 million to have a player there who's not playing well enough.
But it's not beyond...
Doesn't get on with the manager.
It's not beyond the wit of man to command a fee.
No, I'm not saying... Yeah, I agree.
So the fact that Liverpool are prepared to let... What other club lets a player go of this stature, whether he's a slightly diminishing asset? Ronaldo and Messi have all been diminishing assets, but have gone and attracted fees and other opportunities for people. What other player inside contract goes on a free at this level?
Highly unusual, Danny.
I'm not saying it isn't, but
Highly
Simon
unusual.
knows the business side of it
Colin,
better than us.
Thanks for your call. Let's finish with you, Owen. Good morning. Big Liverpool fan. Salah goes. Does he leave, as far as you're concerned, in any way under a cloud?
Hi, you guys. Just calling in to talk about the Salah situation. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, sort of just wanting to provide like a little bit of context to the situation around Salah, really.
Go on.
When he first joins the club, we went through a period of time where loads of players were treating the club as a stepping stone. Like we had Luis Suarez, we had Philippe Coutinho, who ended up leaving thinking that he could go on and achieve greater things. Salah comes in, and from the moment he arrives, it's been non-stop goals, and we're incredibly grateful as Liverpool supporters for that. So to suddenly tarnish, I wouldn't say tarnish, but like suddenly say, oh, does he leave under a cloud after one outburst in 9 years, doesn't really add up to me, to be honest with you.
No, that's fair.
Fair enough.
But I think we agree
You'll
with...
applaud him out the door
we
to the
agree
very
with
end,
that.
Owen. Owen, thanks for the call. How would you sum him up then, Danny, as he goes now? I mean, he's still got a lot to do. He could still do a lot and play a big part in what remains of Liverpool's season.
It wouldn't surprise me if his form picked up, because he's going to get the full support, isn't he, of the fans now. He'll be regarded up there with the best. He will. Because as I said to you before, those little things that might annoy a few, that's a short-term thing. That'll be completely forgotten. I gave you examples.
But just before we leave it, 109 days ago, when he said what he said, did you feel then he'd been thrown under a bus?
No. No, I completely agreed with Slot in dropping him at the time, and so did the fans. So I think he conducted himself poorly in that moment. But actually, as the last caller just said, one of those tantrums, or even 2 or 3 minute, smaller ones with Slot, in terms of facials off the bench and all that stuff he's been criticised for this season, they're just, over a 9-year period, they're not enough.
Yeah.
And like I said before, Rooney's the best example. United's leading goal scorer.
And that's right. But the only other caveat to that, and I know that I'm not wanting to finish this conversation on the negative, is that you judge people. It's been a one-way transaction. He's been adored and revered.
Yeah.
And the moment he wasn't adored and revered, he wasn't adored, and there was a backdrop to what he wasn't getting what he wanted in the contractual negotiations last year. So we heard from him. And we heard critically from him that people weren't speaking to him, and he created a narrative that probably wasn't true about the football club, in terms of that made Liverpool look like they weren't taking care of business, made Liverpool look like they were remissful in not attaching value to their assets.
Yeah,
and what Liverpool were trying to do was negotiate with the player rather than give him exactly what he wanted. And in the end, probably Liverpool gave him exactly what he wanted, which is why he piped down. When he got dropped, he piped up again.
Yeah.
So in the 2 instances where Mo Salah has not got perhaps what he wanted, you've seen a characteristic that is not unique to Mo Salah, is probably relevant to most high-profile footballers of a calibre that he operates in, where they are entitled to a different air.
Yep.
Is it not another example, Simon? And it's true. In football, nobody is bigger than the club. End of.
Well,
that's true.
But he's achieved what he wanted. He's going to go out the door. It's not going to cost him a penny to. The fact that he doesn't have a 25 or 30 million pound price tag attached to his head to go out the door, so Liverpool can make 10 or 15 million quid out of it, means that it'll go in his salary.
But the other side to that,
he wins on all fronts.
If I'm Mo Salah's mate or his agent, or even Mo Salah in my head, because I've been a footballer, and your ego comes. We've talked about this many times. He's going to be sitting there thinking, Liverpool lose the fee they might get for me. I've earned that. Like, do me a favour.
Yeah, but
I've given you how many trophies?
But you
how
haven't
many
given
goals?
anybody anything. You've done your job and you've been rewarded for it.
Forget whether you think it's nonsense or not, but that's how footballers think. And that's how
Well, they should be
agents
discouraged from thinking that way. They should be discouraged from that thought process because nobody gave anybody anything.
Anyway,
it wasn't a free transaction.
It's idealistic nonsense.
He can, from this point onwards, he can earn his big money by contributing more to Liverpool. How about scoring the winner in the Champions League?
Yes, Jim, that's the positive end we want.
It is 11 o'clock.
So look, every game at the moment is going to be tough for Spurs, but that next one up at Sunderland, Harry, that is, I mean, because on the same day, West Ham home to Wolves.
Yeah.
Right?
And I mean, the Sunderland game, Andy, as you say, I mean, they're on the back of beating Newcastle, so they're going to come back home, and the crowd are going to be in a great, they're going to be so up for their team, having just beaten Newcastle, that the place is going to be jumping. What a tough game that's going to be at Sunderland. So certainly not going to be easy for whoever they get in. If they decide to change, it's going to be a tough gig. I mean, at the moment, it's looking more and more to me now suddenly like Tottenham or West Ham, which, I want them both to stay up for sure. But that's the way it's starting to look at the moment. Forest, they look quite strong. They're strong in midfield. The centre halves get on and do a job. They're even talking about, Woodsy coming back, which would be a plus for them. The last few games, they look like they could be okay. So, and Leeds don't deserve to be down there. What I've seen of them this season, they've worked their socks off, and there's been so many games that just haven't quite gone their way. But I think that crowd at Ellen Road, you know as well as anybody how intimidating that can be.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at just coming up to 3 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Is one of Liverpool's greatest ever players leaving under a cloud? Danny Murphy says Salah's probably in Liverpool's top 5 or 6 ever, and people will forget December's shenanigans.
Because there's so much good. And I think also, although he threw over the years, even with Klopp, the odd tantrum when he got brought off or whatever, the way he conducts himself generally has been super professional.
We understand termination talks began before AFCON when Salah accused Liverpool of throwing him under the bus and said he had no relationship with Arne Slot. Salah's leaving on a free after waiving the last of a 2-year extension. Simon Jordan doesn't think there's much Liverpool could have done.
Maybe they could have gone to Mo Salah, given the wonderful relationship that seems to exist between Mo Salah and the manager, and said, can you sign another year with us, irrespective of the fact that we're not going to play you for that year because we can get some money from you from Saudi. So there is a disappointment that perhaps they can't capitalise on him.
The first of a long goodbye. Liverpool's FA Cup quarter-final at Man City is live on talkSPORT a week on Saturday. Now, the man many think should be England's starting left-back this summer says his previous relationship with Thomas Tuchel means nothing.
I'm a completely different person now, completely different player now, I think, so I don't necessarily read too much into the past, and I know he's a great guy, so I'm looking forward to working with him again.
Tuchel gave Newcastle's Lewis Hall his Chelsea debut. With a few World Cup places still to be decided, England versus Uruguay is live on talkSPORT this Friday night. And the National League is coming to YouTube for the first time this Saturday. Well, Dagenham and Redbridge anyway. New shareholder and content creator KSI is streaming their National League South game with Hampton and Richmond on his own YouTube channel. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The Health Secretary is celebrating a rise in public satisfaction in the NHS, and the average council tax bill across England is going up at its lowest level in 3 years. Amelia's got more at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Sort your new tyres this spring at a time that suits you best from the comfort of your home or work 7 days a week with our mobile tyre fitting service. Conditions apply.
Cold and blustery, mixture of sunny spells and showers. Some of those showers heavy, hail and thunder about as well. Temperatures below average.
Good morning, everybody. 5 minutes past 11 o'clock. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT. We'll talk boxing further down the line. Moses Atoma back in action. He's an absolute wrecking ball. Is he going to wreck Jermaine Franklin? We're about to find out. And an endorsement from Chelsea, by Chelsea, on Liam Rosenior. Liam's our man, and he's going to continue to be our man for the foreseeable future. That is for sure. We'll get to that. In the meantime, we'll stick on this, because last night, social media exploded when it appeared that Nigel Farage, of all people, had been to Portman Road, Ipswich. Not only that, he'd decided to make the most of his little visit to the Championship club. And there was a backlash, of course, following the leader of Reform UK, Mr. Farage, visiting Ipswich Town's Portman Road Stadium to shoot promotional content. If you're watching on YouTube at the moment, there is Farage holding up Farage 10, his football shirt, apparently. Farage was in the area to launch his party's campaign for May's local elections. And Reform teased his visit via Twitter, posting, "Portman Road awaits." Well, they didn't have to wait very long, because he popped up and then popped out this video.
It was a big end to the season for Ipswich. They're really in contention to go back into the Premier League, and let's hope they do it. But if they don't, I think there's the chance here, and I've had a chat with a few people on the manager's job coming up next season, and I'm definitely on the short list. But trouble is, there's only one job I'm really after. What a lovely welcome to Portman Road, it really is.
So that was that. Ipswich club sources said Farage was not formally invited to attend Portman Road. They said it was a private tour booked through Portman Road Events. They had no knowledge at the time of booking that it was for the leader of Reform. Sources say there was no official club involvement, nor was he there to meet a senior official during his visit, which they said lasted around 30 minutes. Well, in that 30 minutes, Farage and Reform certainly made the most of their visit, didn't they? Norwich City, amusingly, took full advantage of that after what they saw their rivals had done, and they put out on Twitter, "Book a stadium tour of Carrow Road. New dates now available. Terms and conditions will most definitely apply." In other words, we want to know who it is who's crossing the threshold of our football club. This morning, I can bring you a bit of news, Simon, Danny, from inside the football club, although there were no official quotes from anyone in particular. Ipswich say, it's our understanding that there is a feeling here, because of the outcome and the backlash, that the club has been compromised. The club was aware of the visit by Nigel Farage and Reform, but there is a feeling that the visit went further than expected. Going forward, this kind of situation would be managed differently, but the club remains open to all parties. It's our understanding Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch will be visiting sometime in the near future. So once we view everything that's happened here and the backlash that it brought, Simon, should football clubs be used for party political broadcasts?
No, I don't think so. And I don't think the football club anticipated that it was going to be used for that. Is the backlash because people are objecting to who the party political broadcast or opportunity was taken by? or are they objecting because football's being used in that situation?
What do you think?
I would suggest it's because it's Nigel Farage and it's reform, rather than necessarily the argument that I would make. My argument would be, don't really want to see a football club being leveraged in any capacity by any politician. Cynically, whether I'm in favour of their politics or against their politics, that would be my preferred position. And if it was my situation, that's the information that I would instruct my commercial departments when they were booking things out, because football clubs are like hotels now. They use their stadiums for all kinds of manner of events, and there's nothing wrong with that. The constant argument is, don't just turn a stadium over on a Saturday afternoon. Make sure that all the conference and banqueting rooms are utilised,
right,
and you generate revenue from them.
So if you were at the top of the house at Ipswich and you found out that Farage and his cronies were stopping by to do something on reform, you'd have said, no, I'm not having it.
I would have said, let's be careful about how we utilise that. You'd
have let them in?
If it's an internal meeting, well, in the same way a hotel, if it's an internal meeting where people are utilising a space because they happen to be in that region and they wanted to have a base to do it from, and they were asking if they could rent a room, then that's one thing. If they're going to monetise it, or more to the point, commercialise it by filming inside there, first of all, I'd be suggesting they can't film inside there, because I don't think that's part of a stadium tour. If you want to part of a stadium tour, we'll give you a stadium tour, but you don't get to film in it.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've been able to do all kinds of things will probably send shivers up Mark Ashton's back in terms of the chief executive of Ipswich, who is a very good and capable chief executive, by the way. But I don't think in any shape or form Ipswich are endorsing reform. So if the backlash is about Ipswich Town as a football club endorsing reform, then people should put aside their political biases and say, if it was a political party they probably wouldn't be backlashing against it.
Yeah, but hang on, Simon. Whether they wanted to endorse reform, which I'm sure they didn't, they've ended up looking like they've endorsed reform.
Yeah, but
a political leader utilises your name, stadium and dressing room in the process, holding up his shirt with Farage in the back.
That's fine, and that's what they've issued I should imagine their attitude, and whoever you've spoken inside the club probably suggested that wasn't the aim and the aspiration or the intent of allowing reform, or whichever political party, Kemi Badenoch, if she's next down there, to be able to do what they did. So it's not about Ipswich Town. Ipswich Town are probably an innocent pawn in this, and if the backlash goes towards Ipswich, they'd probably give you an explanation. And by the same way, I saw their statement they put out yesterday. I don't think people should back down to a baying mob. I don't think people should back down if their intentions weren't what the mob are alleging, and the fact that they aren't endorsing the football club. And then Ipswich Town put a statement out saying...
Who's the mob? This is their own fan base.
Well, the backlash. It's a mob, isn't it? It's a backlash.
From their own fan base.
You're the one that described it as a backlash.
You're saying... I don't know how did you let Farage over your door?
But you're the one described as a backlash. I don't know who it's from, so I'm only taking what you said to me as the scenario. And I'd imagine it goes beyond their fan base. I imagine lots of people have got lots of opinions about it, because lots of people have got lots of opinions.
Yeah, but a mob makes it sound like some unruly shower of people. They're not.
Well,
the Ipswich fan base said, "Why did you let Farage in?"
Okay, well,
why did you let reform in to do what is looking like a party political broadcast?
I should desensitise the language that you use. It's not a backlash. It's critical observation.
Absolutely. Critical observation, backlash, whatever.
So critical observation is just a bunch of people ruminating on it rather than a backlash, right? So the commentary that's been put forward is, why did you put him there? Now, I would imagine that comes from a group of people that don't particularly like his politics. If it had been a different politician, if their argument is, and I'll make the centre point about this, if you're saying to me that people that have commented on this are commenting on the position of we don't want politics near sport, I will be entirely in their camp.
Right.
But I'm willing to wager you that it's people that have a different political leaning.
Well, if
than
this
the
was
ones
Zach Polanski of the Green Party, you'd be saying, how dare they? How dare they?
But I've just said it, haven't I? What's the point? I've just turned around and said to you...
You're saying you'd have a different narrative if it was...
There's no... Why would I have a different narrative?
Would you have a different narrative?
Well, the narrative is, I don't want any political party near next to it. And if my explanation...
Any of them?
I just
so Badenoch shouldn't be going near
I said that from the outset. No, they can go and rent a room. Why can't they rent a room? So if they go and rent a room in a hotel and have a meeting in it, are you going to suggest that the hotel should be boycotted by everyone that doesn't like that particular hotel?
You know why Reform and Farage pitched up at Portman Road yesterday? Not to rent a room, come and go, nobody saw them.
Well, I do now.
And off they go into...
But I do now, don't I?
They wanted to utilise it.
But I do know
and
now.
sing from the rooftops where they were.
But the question is not what I know, it's what Ipswich knew. I'm not the one that's in the firing line for allowing them to rent a room or to have a tour of a stadium. So if Ipswich Town tell you that we weren't aware this is what we're going to do this, and we're not happy that they've potentially done it, which is effectively what they're saying, where's the issue? Oh, I know, we want to confect some outrage. If Ipswich Town came out and said, we are 100% behind Nigel Farage, and we're glad he did this, then we could all have outrage. So the fact that Nigel and Reform have taken advantage of a situation, turned it into what they wanted to, will perhaps give Ipswich Town cause to thought to say, the next time we rent it out, we will make sure that you can't do this.
They get done. They get done by Farage and Reform.
But that's got nothing to do with Ipswich.
Compromised, you were done.
Sure, but what's that got to do?
Who the hell didn't see this coming inside Ipswich? They should have done.
Well, again, you have to ask the question.
I mean, do you not think all clubs should be apolitical?
Yes, I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
But they're not, are they? That's not how it works in the real world.
Farage and Reform very much tried to and succeeded in attaching themselves to Ipswich Town Football
then
Club
take
yesterday.
the argument to Nigel Farage.
And that's what really got up the noses of, as you call them, the mob, the fan base.
Well, you're talking about incompetence, aren't you, from within Ipswich? Yeah. If you're talking about incompetence from certain staff within the Ipswich Football Club hierarchy who do the marketing, bankers, all that stuff,
and they know it,
is that the world's worst crime? I'm sure they'll have their wrist slapped and they won't do it. They won't get.
I mean, when you were at Palace, if Blair, Cameron, or Brown had come to you, or their parties had come to you saying, we were like a room and we're going to be doing bits and pieces in it, you would have chased them.
I would have suggested, and by the way, if it was an opportunity to bang Zach Polanski and his bang bunch of idiots from any place on the planet, I'll take that opportunity.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily mean.
So clip that one off.
And so people will find that out in the future for themselves.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is that if someone was renting a room for a commercial meeting, a commercial meeting, and my place, in the same way that a hotel would rent out a room for a commercial meeting, because that's what they've become. A commercial meeting.
Right.
It may well have been a meeting of different sorts.
Yeah.
Now, the fact is that they've gone around with the camera. That seems to me to be ridiculous. And Mark Ashton and the Ipswich Town guys have got to say, well, hang on a second. If they've booked a tour, why would we not have the diligence and the presence and the wherewithal to stop people from filming and doing what they were doing?
Yeah.
So that, to me, concerns me. But the fact of the matter is, in no way Ipswich aligning themselves with Reform, and it's confected outrage because
but you
the
can
majority
see how it looks like that.
Well, I don't care what
that's
things
why the
look like
fans.
at times.
That's why many of the fans went nuts yesterday when they saw it.
But I would suggest to you, because you don't know this, that a large proportion of those people are probably not even Ipswich Town fans. They just don't like Reform and Nigel Farage.
Very possibly.
So they're a mob.
But the giveaway was when Reform and Farage arrived with his cronies, and as a cameraman, a sound man, and a bunch of equipment. There and then you give it. Not so fast, Nigel.
That's the criticism that should be applied to Ipswich.
Listening this morning. I mean, why don't you tell us? I'm not calling you the mob. Simon named you as a mob a moment ago. But were you offended by this? Are you offended by this? Does it make you view your club any differently? Football fans in general, would it bother you to see your club utilised for political gain? Because that's exactly what seems to have happened here. Badenoch is on the horizon. She's paying you a visit, Ipswich. Fans, do you want that? Do you want to see her pitch up?
Jim, you better cancel Polanski's visit into talkSPORT.
Farage don't go anywhere near it. Farage is actually a Palace fan.
Oh, is he? How lovely. 03717 223344. Some of those Ipswich Town fans yesterday who were not happy with the good Nigel Farage pitching up. Maybe you want to tell us why, and if that mood is still exactly the same today. 03717 223344. Hello, Barry. Good morning.
Okay?
Yeah. Go for it, Baz.
I just want to say, every Monday mid-morning, we have to listen to Martin going on and on and on. It just becomes too much, and it's making me want Man City to win because he's just moaning all the time.
Don't put it on me, fella. Don't put it on me, Barry. So all those times when we denied, so when we denied you winning those 3 Premier Leagues back in the day with Sir Ferguson, was that got something to do with it? Yeah, the fact that Man United players, the former players, have all got it against Arsenal. You Man United fans. If you could pick a team without me involved, don't involve me. Just say which is the team you despise the most in the Premier League. Come on, who is it?
We saw what a coward you were when
It's got that big now.
When you were managing.
It's got that big now that you even want your local rivals to win ahead of us. Well done to you. Well done. Look what happened to our local rivals.
To be honest, our main rivals.
Spurs. Start having your own things to go after as a football club. Don't just bash us. When was the day? When was the day Man United wanted to be champions? Will we see that again soon?
What's your results?
Oh boy, this has got you talking. Nigel Farage and Reform UK pitching up at Portman Road, Ipswich yesterday, home of Ipswich Town Football Club. In they go, and then they started out pumping out pictures of the said Mr. Farage pictured in the dressing room sitting in front of a Farage 10 Ipswich shirt, alongside other pictures of the man by the side of the pitch. Even signed a mock contract. So Farage and Reform UK took full advantage of this little visit to Portman Road, which apparently took 30 minutes. I think it was maybe inside for a bit longer than that. Ipswich, this morning, for their part, were saying it's our understanding. There's a feeling that we've been somewhat compromised here. We were aware of the visit by Farage and Reform, but there's a feeling that the visit went further than expected. You don't say. Going forward, this kind of situation would be managed differently, says the club. But the club remains open to all parties. Indeed, it's our understanding Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch will be visiting in the near future. I wonder if she'll have Badenoch 9 with Badenoch written across the back of her shirt. Will she sign a mock contract at the side of the pitch? Many of you getting in touch. 03717 223344. Jim, if it was any other party than Reform, you wouldn't be going nuts about this morning. Oh, there's one. No name in this one. Here we go with the Simon Jordan hypocrisy. I'm liking this one already. As it's one of his little mates getting negative press. And Simon's right there to defend Nigel.
I think people are just deaf or only hear what they want to hear. The fact of the matter is, I said they shouldn't be used for political purposes, whichever the party is, and Ipswich have been caught a little bit, but it's not about Ipswich, it's about reform.
Yeah.
And people are not objecting to the fact of politics and sport mixing, which is my objection. They're objecting to the fact that it's reform.
And you don't.
That's what they're doing.
And you think if it was any other party, it wouldn't get a similar reaction. If it was any other individual than Farage, it wouldn't get a similar reaction. Is that what you're suggesting?
I think there's a distinct possibility that the majority of people that are reacting are not reacting for the same reason that I am, which is, we don't want politics in this sport. Stop using it for your own games. I mean, it's about reform.
What did they think when they heard Reform UK and Farage want to hire a room inside the stadium? What did they really think?
But that's not the issue. The issue is, why wasn't it taken to hand when they knew Farage was in the building?
Exactly.
And they knew that cameras were there. logic would have prevailed that somebody who had a diligence, the stadium manager or the commercial manager.
Maybe the stadium manager's a fan.
Maybe he's a reform voter. Maybe he wanted to showcase reform for his club.
Let's find out. I'm laughing here, but I mean, this part of this does make me laugh. Part of it, I'm astonished that it's even happened at all. 03717 223344. Jordan, big Ipswich fan. Were you outraged by this?
I'm very much in the same boat as Simon, to be honest with you, Jim. Afternoon, everyone, by the way, or morning, by the way.
Morning, Jordan.
Morning, yeah. I'm in Simon's camp. It's all a load of codswallop, isn't it, really? It's just all smoke. It's something made out of nothing. I think it's because it's Farage himself. Simon will know more than me. I've been an Ipswich fan for quite a long time now. Mark Ashton's no mug. I refuse to believe that he knew, or anyone within the club knew, the extent of what Reform UK would go.
So, John, do you think the club was compromised?
To an extent, I appreciate what you're saying, Jim, for sure. I don't think the club knew the extent they were going to, but like Simon Jordan said, a football club and a football ground isn't just for use on a Saturday. We've had Ed Sheeran there, Fabio Wardley, Simon was there that night. I think yourself was as well, Jim. If a leading party wants to rent a room, say, in brackets, at your football club, you know, who are you to say no? Because it's income at the end of the day.
It would have been Jordan, it would have been worth them asking. And what are you going to do in that room?
Oh, yeah, a bit of due diligence, for sure. But like Danny said, someone's going to get their wrist slapped over it. And as for Norwich coming on it...
That was funny, wasn't it?
Their own house in order.
Oh, no, come on, Jordan, that was funny. Book a stadium tour of Carrow Road. Terms and conditions will most definitely apply.
I'm very much tongue-in-cheek. I get that.
They're sticking it to you lot.
Oh, I get it, but you get your own house in order first, like pay a minimum wage, don't you? Do you know what I mean? Like, let's you know, if you're gonna start, you know, big licks and all this, like, you got to get your own house in order first. So
okay,
yeah, look,
well done, Jordan. Good call. Thanks for joining us. Danny's an Arsenal fan. Danny, good morning. What's your take on this?
Good morning, Jim, Danny, and Simon.
Good morning.
I hope you're all good.
Good.
But do you know what? I think it's been blown out of proportion. At the end of the day, there's a lot of gooners don't like Keir Starmer. But he turns up in the Arsenal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Simon is right because it's the party he's representing. I think everyone just wants to jump on the bandwagon and make a bit of.
Well, he doesn't just turn up at Arsenal, does he? He gets his season ticket reimbursed and he gets security costs attached to him.
Yeah, but Danny, Starmer doesn't show up and then do a party political broadcast holding up an Arsenal shirt with Starmer on the back of it.
No, but I think he has had that, has he not?
Well, not to my knowledge. I haven't seen that. Let's hunt through social media.
I've seen the shirt. I'm pretty sure I've seen the shirt with his name on the back saying #1.
Oh, well, we'll look for it. Simon's already doing some research on that one. But Danny, I think, would you agree here? Ipswich, for one, and we like Ipswich Town. It's a great club, but I think they've been somewhat compromised. In their words, they feel compromised, Danny.
I get that, but like Simon says, you know, you go to a hotel, you book a room, that's that. You know, it's behind closed doors in a sense. Right, they've done it in a public arena, and it probably doesn't help with everything going on.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, all he's done is just book something to have a meeting, and that's it.
Fair enough, Danny. Thanks for the call. Let's head across London. Chelsea fan Joey. Joey, good morning. What do you think of this? Hello, Joey. Joey, are you with us? Has he gone all tongue-tied? We might go back to Joey. We're not sure if he'll still be hanging around. Ollie's a Leeds fan. Ollie, good morning.
Morning, fellas.
Good morning. What do you make of this?
Just to touch on what the caller before said, the Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
I didn't see any outrage or uproar when Keir Starmer was at the Emirates with an Arsenal shirt with Starmer on the back. And as Simon's just said as well, the fact that he gets his season ticket reimbursed, so probably paid for at the taxpayer's expense. And yeah, you don't see any of the uproar about that. I think it's just because it's Farage, really.
I think, Ollie, though, to be fair, and I'm not in any way siding with Starmer, I think he was an Arsenal fan before he was an MP, no?
Well, yeah, that may be the case, but it's still it's still a politician, isn't it? At the end of the day, politics shouldn't be anywhere near football, and neither should any of this virtue signalling in the first place.
So is it your belief then, Ollie, that football clubs should remain apolitical?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Don't have them anywhere near your club for what may occur afterwards.
As for Nigel Farage, if he's booked to go on to this stadium tour, as they're saying he has, and he's gone in there and done his own little thing, then you've got to take that off to him, really, for the initiative, haven't you, really?
Okay, that's one way of looking at it. I wonder if one of Nigel's cohorts went into the club shop and bought that shirt.
They must have done, mustn't they? Unless you're suggesting that it was all pre-ordered and Ipswich knew that it was coming and presented him with a Farage shirt in the delight. They hope that he filmed a party political broadcast there. They've been caught with their pants down. That's it. That's the end of the discussion.
Yeah.
No football club really will align itself with a political party because they know that their supporter base will have different views. So if you've got a political party preference, you're not going to suggest that because you're the owner of the football club. An owner of a football club will have a political bias. You know he will because he'll have his own views on the world. But he's not going to represent that for his football club because you've got a 50 or 30 or 20,000 fan base that might vote Reform, that might vote Labour if they're foolish enough, might vote Green if they're entirely deluded. But the fact of the matter is...
You're going to alienate people, aren't you?
You'll not do it.
But just to reaffirm, you loathe politicians using football or football clubs as any kind of a platform for political gain.
I've never liked it. I've never appreciated it. I've never suggested to you at any time. I'm a realist now, knowing that politics and sport can't be separated because the world won't allow it.
Right.
But I dislike the idea.
You dislike it?
Yeah.
So you loathe what Farage and Reform have done here?
I think, no, I don't loathe what they've done.
By your own standards.
But what we're saying is that football shouldn't allow it. Football didn't allow this. It got caught with its pants down. One football club booked something and they've been taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Farage's being...
Politicians shouldn't do it, should they? It's gone on forever and a day. Blinking Thatcher, I interviewed her at up in Scotland at Hampden when she popped up to do the Scottish Cup draw.
But politicians using sport to advance their own currency,
which you hate,
which I dislike, is not the idea that I really want. Now, I don't know what advance, just out of curiosity, I don't know what advantage Nigel Farage gets by going to, with due respect, to Ipswich Town and using Ipswich Town to promote reform. Now,
because
maybe
it was trending last night on Twitter, and we were talking about it this morning.
No,
There's
because
the
we're talking about what's trending.
And the local elections take place soon.
But it's not trending in a positive fashion, is it? It's trending in a negative fashion because of the backlash that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So the idea that he's using it solely for an upside is a curious one because. Why Ipswich? Is it because there's local elections in that part of the world?
Yeah, that's why.
Then fantastic.
Local elections.
He's used his initiative, but what we're seeking to do in this conversation, and what you're seeking to do, is make Ipswich complicit. And all they are probably is victims of an opportunist.
No, you're being held up by your own standards.
There's
here,
no standards.
And I'm putting that to you.
But what? I'm not for it.
You are, yeah, exactly.
But my argument isn't the same as yours.
Politicians of any sort.
But my argument
be nowhere near a football club.
But we're positioning Ipswich in the firing line and suggesting they might be culpable for something they've been taken advantage of. And at some point,
That's true.
And I'm saying the backlash is not about the politics argument.
Did you say backlash?
Yeah, the one you used.
Okay.
The backlash is not about, to use
Backlash,
to quote your expressions, from the deep-seated, invested Ipswich fans who phoned in and had no complaints about it.
It's our understanding that Nigel has not made Kieran McKenna's next squad. It's 11:30.
Lads, sit down.
Here we go.
Just listen up, all right? Listen up. We've got 7 games left. Every single game's a cup final. Forget the noise. Forget what's happened. Just go out there, put your heart on your sleeve, and go and make something happen. Forget everything that's happened throughout the season. Forget what's happened, all right? On and off the pitch. Now is the moment. A 7-game season. Every blade of grass, every single pass, every header, every tackle matters. Every piece of running on that pitch will get us across the line. And it only will happen if you all stick together and make it happen. I can't do it. I can't be on the pitch. All I can do is set you up to go out there and make it happen for yourselves. Stick together through thick and thin. We hunt together. We fight together. We press together. We tackle together. We get back together. And we will get this done. And at the end of the season, you can all come and see me and knock on my door. And if you want to leave, you can leave. But right now, we are one. We are the team that is going to stay in this Premier League. Forget West Ham. Forget Nottingham Forest. Forget Leeds. It's about Spurs. And we are Spurs. And to dare is to do. Now come on, let's get 3 points!
Hey! I've got goosebumps. I've got goosebumps.
We're going to start with Mo Salah, and talkSPORT has been told he's leaving Liverpool at the right time.
He will go down as one of the Premier League greats, but also one of Liverpool greats. And it would have been sad to see him leave on bad terms. He's going to get a proper send-off, and the Liverpool fans will get to thank him.
Former striker Neil Mellor there. Meanwhile, Mark Lawrenson agrees Salah gets into Liverpool's all-time top 10, but says there's been an alarming drop-off this season.
He might not have scored, he might have scored whatever, but you just kind of know he's not quite the same.
Yeah. Yes.
That sentence, not quite the same, basically means you're knackered.
Elsewhere, Chelsea boss Sonia Bonpastor is demanding more respect for the women's game as she criticises the standard of refereeing. 2 disallowed goals mean her side are 3-1 down to Arsenal in their Champions League quarter-final. Here's Chelsea's Lucy Bronze.
Nobody on the pitch knew, apart from the referee. Even Arsenal players were probably celebrating because I think they were a bit confounded by it as well.
The FA says it's proud of its diversity targets after Reform MP Suella Braverman called them utter woke nonsense. It wants a quarter of the England men's coaches to come from non-white backgrounds by 2028. And Tiger Woods is planning on playing at next month's Masters despite getting, in his words, his arse kicked on his return to golf in the indoor TGL finals.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
And Sean Martin from BetMGM has paid us a visit, like Nigel paid a visit to Ipswich, and joins us live on the show. Simon and Danny alongside me. Sean, let's start with events north of the border. And this three-way race for the Scottish Premiership title has been eventful in the last few days, hasn't it?
It has. Morning, lads. Just very quickly before we go on to Scottish football, if we absolutely have to go on to Scottish football, Jim, I caught quite a bit of your Mohamed Salah discussions. We've got him just over even money to be at Al Ittihad come the end of the summer, which is far and away the shortest odds on offer. Al Nassr 6-1, any MLS team 6-1 as well. PSG, Real Madrid, Bayern, etc. all on the list, but all 11-1 or above. So basically, the market, suggests no big European team likely to take the punt, and he'll be leaving Europe in one direction or another, lads. Whatever you make of that.
Interesting. Everybody was, the reaction last night was, he's off to Saudi, wasn't it?
Feels that way, doesn't it? But could be MLS.
You think? I would have thought Saudi Arabia will be all over it. I would have thought, Simon, would you not? The Saudi Pro League?
Not at the moment.
Depends what he feels about going to that country at this moment in time, given the challenges that they are having with the conflict that's going on in Iran.
Well, Donald's got a peace plan in front of everybody, so we'll see what that produces. Let's get back to north of the border. Where are we going with this, Sean? What have you got?
Okay, if we have to, Jim. Celtic blinked first at the weekend, didn't they? Lost 2-0 away to Dundee United. Now back to third, 5 points off Hearts, 2 points off Rangers. Hearts 27-20 favourites for the title again. Rangers 6-4, Celtic out at 5-2. 2 games left before the split, which for anyone unfamiliar with the Scottish Premiership, 12-team league splits into a top 6 and a bottom 6 after 33 games. The teams in each section play one another once more to bring them up to the full 38. So it does mean all 3 title contenders play one another again once each. So still lots could change. Celtic, I've mentioned to you lads before about the significance of losing 7 games and what that does to your title hopes. That's now 8 that they've lost, and no Scottish top flight winner has lost that number of games since Rangers in 1994, and that was a 44-game season, not a 38-game season, Jim. Rangers, funnily enough, are actually probably worried about the inverse. They've only lost 2 games all season, but like Celtic, could still miss out on the title with a scary amount of draws, plus Hearts maintaining their consistency. As I say, still a lot could change going into the split, especially when you consider I suppose the overall lack of quality. That means there's only been 2 match days this whole season, Jim, where all 3 of Celtic, Hearts and Rangers have actually won their games. Still, despite all that, makes for the most exciting title race in Europe, though, which I'm sure all 3 of you would agree with, surely, lads.
The most exciting title race in Europe. Simon, Danny, discuss. You're right, Sean. Now,
I understand people are excited, but I think that's geographical.
Thank you for that explanation. The golf, when you move on to golf, this is where Danny will really come in and play his trump card. The Houston Open. Go for it, Sean.
I'm not sure it is geographical, Danny. A lot of English colleagues asking about it week to week. They don't usually.
They're just being polite.
Only because they want to see Hearts pump the old firm. That's the only reason why. No other reason why. Once that situation has resolved itself, but everyone will go back to total indifference.
Sean, don't rise to their bait. You're absolutely right in what you said, mate. It's an intriguing title race in Scotland. The Houston Open. Danny's ready with some names we've never heard of.
Yeah, if they're going back to total indifference, it means they're not indifferent now. That's all I'll say. But yeah, Houston Open at Memorial Park. No Scottish Scheffler, Danny, this week. He's withdrawn from contention. He was the 3-1 favourite, having been runner-up by a stroke here the past couple of years, I think it was. His withdrawal means Min Woon Lee moved in from 16-1 second favourite to 12-1 favourite. Chris Gotterup 16-1, the only top 10 ranked golfer in the field. Brooks Koepka is 18-1, comes in with 3 top 20 finishes on the trot and was the player consultant for this course as well. He's adjusting to life back on tour, and we've seen some movement for him at the Masters in a couple of weeks. 40-1 last week, 33s now. But Danny, Houston Open, give me a winner and a top 10 shout. Where's your head at?
Well, I'm with you on Min Woo Lee. He's second at Pebble Beach, 12 for the Genesis, 6 at the Arnold Palmer, playing really well and great to watch, goes for everything. I'm going to go Marco Penge, the Englishman, to win it. He's had I think he missed a couple of tournaments because of birth of his second child, I think. But last week, tied 4th at Valspar. He is just dynamite. Have you seen him at the ball, Jim, Marco Penge?
Yeah, well, I've heard you rave about this guy.
But he's got all-round game.
Yeah.
And it just seems like he's just coming to the fore. So I'm going to go Marco Penge to eat it up, and Min Woo Lee top 10.
Yeah, Min Woo Lee top 10 is 13-8. Not the biggest odds, as I say, he's the betting favourite, but a decent cover for sure. Marco Penge was actually one a couple of the guys in the office like to look off earlier as well, Danny. Won a few times, obviously over on the DP World Tour last year. Big power off the tee. Done well at the Riviera a few weeks ago. Sheriff 4th last week, as you say. 28-1 for him to get the win.
I like that.
Memorial Park, Danny.
Excellent. Simon, the Houston Open, who did you take?
I'm still recovering from the fact that total indifference in Scottish football is something better than some indifference.
Sean, what about Constitution Hill running at Kempton tonight in the world of horse racing?
That is exactly the reaction I wanted. Yeah, I know racing's not massively your wheelhouse, guys, but a lot of the listeners and the viewers will certainly be aware that there's a horse called Constitution Hill running tonight at Kempton, 7:30, Jim. It virtually transcends the sport in a certain way, definitely attracts a wider pool of interest wherever he's running anyway. Switch from jumps to flat recently, was brilliant on his debut at Southall last month, won by 9.5 lengths on that occasion. He's long odds on to make it 2 from 2 at Kempton tonight, 1-6. So a win bet probably not worth your fiver, to be honest. But we do have a market here for winning distance, 5 lengths or more, 11-8. 8 or more, just over 3-1, and 10 or more, 11-2. One of, if not the best jockeys on board, and Ryan Moore as well. It's 7:30 tonight, Jim, and you can also live stream the race on the BetMGM website and the app too, guys.
Wow. Listen, Sean, you just before you leave us, you know your football, especially up there. If not Celtic, who do you think will win it, Hearts or Rangers?
It's a weird one, Jim, because I'm still harbouring some hope that Celtic can do it. It's been done before. I remember 07-08.
Yeah.
I think seven games left, 6 points behind, 1-7. Do I think the Celtic team's got it in them? I'm not so sure. Hearts are in pole position. You can't ignore that gap. As I say, all three are unreliable to get wins in any given week.
Yeah.
So I think Hearts are the betting favourites for a reason, but Rangers probably the most likely not to lose a game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Mark McGee probably heard yesterday, former Celtic player, took Rangers to come through and do it. We shall see. Sean, thank you for that. Visit betmgm.co.uk, download the app. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
When you take a step back and you look, what are you seeing at Chelsea?
Well, I think it's completely different to what was Chelsea a few years back. I think a few years back, even the coach knew if you don't win the league or if you don't win a big trophy, you're out.
Simple as.
Abramovich, simple. I mean, Mourinho won a couple. The year they didn't win it, bang. Ancelotti, similar. Conte, similar. Mourinho go back, similar. It was quite clear. Now it's a little bit different because the top is doing different things, in a different way. What I don't like, coach point of view, is when there is too many rumors about the coach. For example, Maresca, no? It was that big rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, about the change in the place at a certain time that he's been told.
Because he was the one that was leaking it to his mates in the press.
Okay? Now, what that helped to the new coach? And I'd say to you, Dom, you make a change after 60 minutes and people is going to say that you change it because you've been told to change it. You don't have a chance to win it. You are not making the decision because it's been out already. So for Liam, it's been a situation which is impossible to win.
Our latest competition has landed, and it's a big one. talkSPORT are giving you the chance to win £20,000 completely tax-free. 20 grand could be yours. Don't miss your chance to win this amount of money. This is how you can do it. Text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. The number to call is 0343 418 7260. Lines close April the 9th at 4 o'clock. That's when you need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus UK residents only. It's a network promotion. Terms, conditions at talksport.com. Your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. Lovely. We enjoyed that little musical outburst.
Interlude.
That actually was a word I was struggling for, not outburst.
Musical backlash.
Musical backlash there. Thank you so much. In a briefing, and I remember being at Cobham once, and Todd Bowley and Bédadig Bally were there, and I was briefed about how they were going to go forward with Chelsea regards their ownership. A briefing. This is seemingly what Chelsea seemed to do. In a briefing via Matt Law in the Telegraph, we are told that Liam Rosenior's position as Chelsea head coach is secure, even if the club misses out on qualifying for the Champions League this season. It's understood that Chelsea do not plan to review Rosenior's performance formally before the summer of 2027. They have no intention of making a change at the end of the season. Chelsea view this summer as being critical in terms of recruitment. The club's desperate to improve the mental resilience of the squad and provide Rosenior with a better balance of options. Chelsea will look to sign at least one new central defender, and they want to sign a midfielder, or add a midfielder and a forward as well. We know all that, Danny, but we also know a run of one win in the last 6 Premier League games. Many Chelsea fans are far from happy about the way things are going. So, Simon, Danny, I mean, no Champions League, no problem for Liam Rosenior, it seems. Should we believe it?
No, I struggle to believe that wholeheartedly. I think no Champions League for Chelsea would be a failure for them, especially if there's 5 places. And I think that the fans will become very disgruntled if that's the case. I do feel like whoever was in there, whoever was put in there, would face similar problems. If you look at what we've talked about many times, the squad being so young, you see the amount of sendings off they have, the ill discipline, the extremes of performance, brilliant one week, poor the next. That's hard for anyone to go in there and get better consistency with the dynamic of the squad. I think there's sense in leaving him in and just letting him see how he goes. Give him a bit of time. He's only got through the door really 5 minutes ago.
Yeah,
I don't think they should panic, but I certainly don't think they'll let it roll till this stage. Till the summer of, what do you say?
Next summer,
2027.
Yeah.
So
So
if it carries on like this, no chance.
Would it be unfair, Simon, to make a judgment on him without a full summer and a season in charge?
Yeah, of course that's probably right. And I should imagine the League Managers Association must be jumping up and down and celebrating this kind of position from owners, in terms of giving a manager some chance to run, rather than ultimately just be judged in the court of public opinion, which has been started by certain sections of the media determining in their own minds that there's no reason for this man to have this job in the first place, because his credentials don't stack up with the history of Chelsea. And then once that narrative is then seeded, it becomes something that the manager then has to live with.
Who said that in the media?
Well, I think it's been endlessly repeated. I've seen various journalists talking about the fact that this is not an appointment that actually is based upon merit. And that's historically because Chelsea's achievements have been so significant.
Nor was Arteta, though, was it?
And to some extent, neither was Arteta, but that isn't the narrative that's being run on this particular one, because it's an easier go-to one with Chelsea, because Chelsea's problem is their ownership model, and it's an easy go-to for journalists to say, there's another example of bad ownership.
No, the reason we do it is that we've seen this before, have we not? 13th of February 2023, a post on social media by David Ornstein. The Chelsea hierarchy intend to judge Graham Potter by years, not months or games. Chelsea expect progress, but giving Potter significant time. Joining new project mid-season, ongoing rebuild, injuries, youth drive mean the job is seen as safe long-term. Six weeks after that, Chelsea sacked Graham Potter.
So that's it then, is it?
Then they got rid of Potter.
So that's it then, is it? So the fact that someone said something once...
Do you believe it? Do you believe what they're saying?
Well,
But
this briefing
but let's go
about
back to the point I
Rosenior.
was actually making, rather than the justification for journalists doing it. The narrative that's been created around Liam Rosenior is that he's not fit for this job and he shouldn't be in this job and he's got no credentials for being in it. Let's go move on to the circumstances of what Chelsea have said. Their intention, their devout intention, is to give this manager enough opportunity to be judged by 2027. Now, if the manager creates an absolute mess of the place and they don't, and they're sitting in Tottenham's position this time next year, he won't be in the job. And that won't be Chelsea's owners reversing from it. It'll be circumstances dictating and the manager's lack of performance. But what they're giving him is enough confidence that if you do a reasonable job, first of all, we're not going to judge you in the short term. We are not going to do what all of these so-called experts in the football writing fraternity tell us that we should be doing, which is if you don't get into the Champions League, you should be fired. Right, so we're going to quell that particular fire, despite the knowledge of all those.
The manager said it's failure if they don't.
No, he talked about 2027, not 2026. They're talking
No,
about.
you said it's failure if they don't make Champions League this season.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's a failing. It's a failure to some extent. But
Yeah, the club
To their
world
fans,
champion.
it's a failure. To
but
their
here-
fans,
but-
it's a
but
failure.
here's the thing: who cares what he thinks, and who cares what I think? The owners of the football club are the ones that determine what success is and what they measure it by, and what they think is progress, and what they're prepared to tolerate as lack of progress. So their attitude is that if we don't get into the Champions League, I don't suppose they'll be celebrating that. I don't suppose they'll be patting him on the back saying that's a remarkable achievement, not achieving something.
No, obviously not.
They'll be saying what they're saying is to the background noise of which we are part of. Don't care what your background noise is. We are going to build with this manager, try and give him an opportunity to be successful. And to some extent, that should be applauded by all the same voices that will turn around and say, it's revolting that managers don't get given enough opportunity.
Would you argue, though?
I'm not saying they shouldn't say that, but do you believe them?
But then the answer is, do I believe them based upon their best intentions? No, I think they're barefaced liars. I think the purpose of that press statement is to tell a barefaced lie.
Isn't it more realistic, Simon, to just... They're supporting him anyway by giving him the job. Why'd you have to come out and say it? Because Jim Ratcliffe sits there and says, oh, Amorim, we employed him for 3 years. We're going to give him 3 years. Blah, 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 blah. Not if he keeps losing games. Don't say anything.
But there's a policy that some people have, and there's no absolute right or wrong. If you don't say something about something, you'll be criticised for not being clear in your vision. If you do say something about saying it, you should have kept it to yourself. So the fact of the matter is you've got to own your own belief system. If your belief system is you communicate with the fans and the overall media and tell them what you're trying to do and what you anticipate you would want to do, if the circumstances lead you to that opportunity, there's nothing wrong with that. But to hoist people by this lazy mentality of what you said 3 years ago must now be what you say going forward, what you did. And I know there's a position in life which is if someone shows you what they are, believe them. But there's also a situation which is people can change their view. That was their first managerial appointment.
Well, they can
Graham
improve
Potter.
they can improve their knowledge.
And Graham Potter was a decision that they made at the time, and they may well have learnt from. They might have thought to themselves, maybe we should have kept Potter in longer.
Yeah.
Maybe the fact Potter got fired is a mistake on our part, and we should have given him more latitude. I don't think they should have
But
done.
journalistically, it's easy pickings for us because in the past, regarding Potter,
it is,
and it's not lazy. Journalistically, regarding Potter, the Chelsea hierarchy said we intend to judge him by years, not months.
But it's the man.
And 6 weeks later, they bin him.
But it's the manner.
Now they're saying similar things
But I do-
about Rosenior.
but I do think it is lazy.
So do we take what they're saying with a pinch of salt?
Yes.
Well, that's up to you. I mean, ultimately, they've been very clear in the fact that they've actually qualified it with more detail, whether it's Chelsea or Tottenham or whatever else. I've been on the other end of journalism where they decide that what you are is what you are, and in 10 years' time, you're still going to be that. So you're still listening to the crap that you listened to 10 years previously. So the fact of the matter is, I do think it's a lazy trope.
No,
But
it's not lazy because they engage.
Well, you wouldn't because you're a journalist.
No, hang on a second.
Well, you wouldn't
It's
because you're a
coming from them.
No, they're taking something they did.
do the briefings.
Yes, but they've
The journalists aren't just making this
no,
up.
but the journalists are saying because you did this in 2023 in your first managerial appointment, there's a distinct possibility you might do it again. Rather than the fact that the Chelsea have said we are not going to be determining this manager's future by the Champions League this season. So there's your first qualification of the timelines they're not working in, and we're going to judge him by they're giving you absolute definite timelines. Now,
did you brief journalists like this?
No, because I wouldn't waste my time with you lot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I think it's a mistake. I understand why you say they speak out because that's why they decide to communicate.
No, I wouldn't speak out. They're a big club.
Let's say they lose the next 4 or 5 games. Then all of a sudden, the fans are turned. It's done.
They were hostage to fortune.
Some of them have already made up their minds.
They
It's not
have.
going to
But
work.
what I'm
and
saying,
I think that's unfair.
I don't think they should, by the way, because he's been, as I said, he's been in 5 minutes. Give him a chance, for God's sake. But the point is, by saying it, you're leaving yourself wide open. You can support your manager privately. I was going to ask you the same, actually.
Yeah,
Did you actually ever publicly back a manager when he was getting some stick? Did you
No.
actually come out to the press ever and go, no, he's my man,
No.
and he's here? Because I remember you telling me you did back privately Neil Warnock when he said he couldn't.
But I wasn't interested in the opinions of journalists. I did press conferences.
No, but you said about doing it for fans.
So are these briefings maybe not the route to go down?
But also, there is a different optic to football now than when I was running a football club. There was a different scale to the expectation of these huge football clubs.
True. Yeah.
Because you wonder why Jim Ratcliffe would sit in front of cameras and say some of the things he does, specifically about football, not about other stuff.
Well, Danny's point's a good one. You know, in October, he was back in Amerham singing his years.
We said we give him a 3.
And so you wonder why these guys, and I don't know whether it's moths to light or whether it's because they feel that the public domain presence of a football club needs to be curated and controlled by their thinking.
Yeah.
I think it's flawed.
Okay.
I think it's flawed.
We shall see. We wish Liam Rosenior all the best in the future weeks that lie ahead. And we mean that. It's 12 noon.
talkSPORT understands Enzo Fernandez is open to a move to Real Madrid this summer. No surprise there.
No.
A transfer to the Bernabeu would be viewed as a dream move for the Chelsea vice captain. Is that one or two of them just beginning to think maybe jumping ship here, Andy?
Yeah, look, and player turnover at a club like Chelsea is always significant. It happens. For him, I don't think Enzo has been unbelievable since he's come to Chelsea. He's had moments where he's pinched a few goals and he looks decent, but I don't think... I think if you were able to get... Well, I don't know what sort of money you would get. I would only imagine it would be... I think it'd be less than what they gave for him now. But I think if you were to get close to that, I don't think Chelsea would be massively disappointed maybe if he left or if he had to go. I think there are others you'd absolutely need to keep and try and improve a little bit more. If he's already got eyes on Real Madrid and he's already had his
head
turned a wee bit, then if you're going to get, what did they give for him, Ali? Was it 100 on the dot? Or was it
I thought it was 105 or something. Maybe 100. It was certainly round about that figure, which is an incredible amount of money.
I can't believe they're going to get any more than sort of probably 75, 80
that's
for him. Is that what you would think?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. We had that figure in my head.
And I think
75.
if you got that, you've had him there, and I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, I don't see him pulling up many trees in that position, really. Not really. Not quite.
talkSPORT Sports Update powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines, it's just coming up to 4 minutes past 12. I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. Danny Murphy says Mo Salah is in the conversation for the Premier League greatest ever forward, and the former Liverpool midfielder thinks most fans will forget December's toys and pram stuff.
Do United fans, when they applaud and talk about or give the plaudits to Wayne Rooney, talk about when he put a transfer request in and wanted to go City?
Nomination talks began before AFCON when Mo Salah accused Liverpool of throwing him under the bus. He's leaving on a free this summer after waiving the second year of his contract extension. Former Liverpool and Wales legend John Toshak has been diagnosed with dementia. His son Cameron says John, who's now 77, has good days and bad days. Ipswich Town have told White and Jordan there's a feeling the club has been compromised. They say Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, filming a campaign video during his visit to Portman Road, went further than expected and reiterate Ipswich Town Football Club is open to all parties. Simon Jordan's called the online backlash confected.
I would suggest it's because it's Nigel Farage and it's Reform. rather than necessarily the argument that I would make. My argument would be, don't really want to see a football club being leveraged in any capacity by any politician.
Lewis Hall's expecting a nervy few days at England's World Cup boot camp. The Newcastle left-back says his time with Thomas Tuchel at Chelsea means nothing now. England versus Uruguay is live on talkSPORT on Friday night. And the National League South is coming to YouTube for the first time this Saturday. Dagenham and Redbridge's new shareholder KSI will stream their game with Hampton and Richmond on his own YouTube channel. Dagenham say it shows what's possible when football and content creators come together. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The Health Secretary says it's not acceptable the NHS delayed raising the alarm about meningitis in Kent, and a former Justice Minister's pleaded guilty to possessing drugs, including hundreds of pounds worth of crystal meth. Emma has more at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. The tyre transfer window is hotting up and we've signed a multi-generational talent with Continental Tyres. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
Cold and blustery, mixture of sunny spells and showers. Some of those showers heavy. Hail and thunder around as well, and temperatures below average.
Good afternoon, everybody. Touch of boxing in the final hour. Not Simon and me. We're going to be hearing from Carl Frampton as we look ahead to Moses Atoma clambering back inside the boxing ring this weekend. 6 minutes past 12 noon. We're also off to France in the final part of the show today. A whole bunch of interesting little stories coming out of there, I can tell you. Not least one, an intriguing one involving Kylian Mbappe. That is then, this is now. And now we are looking ahead, of course, to some, not least the playoffs regard to World Cup involving the Welsh, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. But of course, England hosting Uruguay this Friday, and that is live on talkSPORT. It's a final international break before the World Cup. And of course, we have a former player of considerable repute in our midst in Danny Murphy. And Danny, psychologically, for players competing for major domestic honours, and that's what they're doing at this business end of the season, how are you approaching the break? I mean, do you go full pelt? What do you do?
Well, it depends on the individual, because some of the individuals in the England squad will be very comfortable with their position in the squad and that they'll be going to the World Cup. And others will be fighting and giving everything they can to try and impress the manager while they're, with the intensity of your training, getting a chance in a friendly. I know he's named a big squad, but a lot of those players he's brought in there to have a look at. So you've got to, excuse me, you've got to try and stand out somehow. And you can't do that half-hearted. So it's a very individual thing. Like, some players will be much more relaxed, chilled, and probably take it easy, be careful, because they've got bigger fish to fry coming up, whether it be quarterfinals of the Champions League, fighting for a league title.
Yeah.
So it's not one rule for one.
We spoke during the week about Ben White, his return to the England fold. Sam, forgive me, I can't quite remember where you stood on that one. Were you saying, no, the door was shut, but it's now reopened, it's up to Tuchel whether or not he reopens it?
I didn't like the idea that you decide to vacate the building because you can't find a way to appreciate the fact you're being picked for your country and have to overcome the adversity of maybe not getting on with an individual coach. And I think in my mind's eye, that precludes him from being selected for England. But that doesn't chime with the other world that I like to live in, which is people are able to redeem themselves.
Yeah.
So
especially when it's about sometimes personal relationships, which become really fractious, create an outcome, and that when that changes and that person isn't there anymore, you can evolve, you can improve and do better next time. I thought your latter view, I think I agree with. Look, Ben White is a very capable player, and the other thing is with Ben White, because there's some problems at right back at the moment. Obviously, Trent's not picked, Reece James is injured. The other thing I think Tuchel's thinking about Ben White, especially now he's just got back in the Arsenal team, is he's always when he played for Arsenal for those 2 years and all the time, he had a great relationship with Saka. So if the team benefits more from having Ben White there than Tuchel, and I don't think Tuchel's worried about perception of journalists thinking he's weak for having this player.
No, he won't care.
He won't care. So actually, good on him. I like the fact he doesn't care about those things.
But the player is one conversation. Tuchel's propensity to do precisely what he wants is exactly what you want in a manager. Live and die by your decisions.
You mentioned him, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Danny, what's he got to do to get an England call-up? Did you expect him to be in the squad?
Probably with the number. If I'd known it was a 35-man squad and Reece James was injured and Trent wasn't in, I'd have been surprised. But the way Tuchel is setting up England that I see, which is much more front foot, high energy than what Gareth Southgate did and much more risk-taking, he needs his fullbacks to be probably better defensively than attacking because they're going to be exposed a bit more. And I don't think he sees Trent's defensive capabilities as very high, which is understandable if you watch him the last few games from Real Madrid.
But going to Real Madrid, he's seemingly fallen down the international pecking order.
Well, he hasn't played that much, and he doesn't look at his best. Even in the game where they beat City, the home one, for the first 20 minutes, Doku caused him half an hour, and it was only the help he was getting that stopped Doku.
Yeah.
So I think the way Tuchel plays, he wants his fullbacks to be able to defend first and foremost. I'm not sure he sees Trent as that.
Well, not surprisingly, Tuchel was asked at the time, Trent, no Trent, where is Trent? And this was him.
I know that it's a tough decision for Trent, as it is for, I guess, Ollie Watkins at the moment and for Luke Shaw. These tough decisions come with a job. It is a sportive decision. It is a sportive decision that we stick with Jarell Kwanzaa, with Tino Livramento, and with Chad Spence, who all can play for us in camp on the right fullback. It's a tough one. I know it's a big name. I think is a huge talent and with a big career. But I feel that I know what Trent can give us, and decided still to stick to the players who were in camp with.
Danny, you're a football man, and I mean this seriously. Livramento, Kwanzaa, Jed Spence, are they ahead of Trent?
Well, Kwanzaa's a centre-half. I mean, Tuchel has...
He listed him there.
Talked about him as a right back. The only saving grace there that I've just heard there, I hadn't listened to that before, but he did say, I know what Trent can do. So maybe a little part of him is, I want to look a bit more at these.
It's a sportive decision.
But if you look at those three players, and it kind of confirms what I said, Livramento, super on one-on-one defending, amazing athlete. Jed Spence, as quick as there is, good defender, not so great going the other way. Kwanzaa, centre-half who can play right-back, tall, quick, good defensively, not so good going the other way. Tells you all you need to know.
Are you a little bit disturbed when you hear that Alvaro Arbeloa refused to confirm whether or not Trent was dropped for the Madrid derby, the game against Atletico Madrid, which they won 3-2, for reportedly being late to training? Widespread reports over there suggest that he was left out as a form of punishment for being late.
It doesn't disturb me at all. No, I won't lose any sleep over it. But I think good on the manager for any player. If you're late, you're at a big, wonderful club where there's a competition for places. If you can't turn up on time, if that is true, then leave him out.
If it is true, Simon, it's certainly it's more than disappointing to hear it.
Yeah, surprising, I suspect. But I'm with Danny.
There might be good reason for it.
I mean, I would imagine if there's a good reason for it, then he probably wouldn't be dropped. Because
he's not confirmed he has dropped him for that.
It was easy to confirm that you haven't, isn't it? If you haven't dropped him for that reason, then you can just say you haven't dropped him for that reason. It doesn't require a great big interaction between him and the media to determine that. But I'm not a huge admirer of Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think he's all right. I think he's okay. So I was surprised he was sought after by Madrid quite as much as he was.
But do both of you not want him to be in the US?
Depends what way Tuchel wants to play, not defensively, because he can't defend.
I think depending who's fit, there's an argument, because if you're going to dominate a lot of the ball in the early group games, you're not going to have to worry about the defensive side. But Reece James can do it all. So Tuchel's got that backup. I just think some managers don't like certain players. And I'm not sure he's having him.
I just think with the Reece James situation at the moment, though, Danny, the question marks as to whether or not we'll be seeing him anytime soon.
Which is a shame because he is one of the best right backs in the world, Reece James, when he's fit. He's an unbelievable player.
Yeah.
And he would give us more of a chance.
Okay, we shall see what emerges when England do host Uruguay this Friday. No Luis Suarez anymore for Uruguay, no Cavani either. But the game is live in talkSPORT. We're live in talkSPORT right now with Selko, where the trade goes. Matt, the Tottenham fan, and Matt, what do you know, has called in. Matt, good afternoon. Where are you at after that home defeat to Forest, mate?
Well, guys, yeah, nice speaking to you.
Nice to speak to you, Matt.
It's not a great position to be in, to be honest. And thanks to Martin's team, the gloss, the pressure has been taken away because you guys are too busy. You media lot are too busy battering a team that's 9 points clear, and you're looking for a downfall from that football club. Yet you look down the road and you guys can't even have the decency within yourselves to actually start pointing fingers, and all you want to do is blame manager after manager and that player and the other player, but you just can't bring it to yourselves to actually go, do you know what? It was that previous chairman, that parasite, which I'll never give him airtime to say his name because he's Simon's mate, who he can't even have the guts, because he's too busy protecting his mate, to have the guts to actually go, do you know what? Actually, it stemmed from him because they told him, do what you please within the margins. He then does what he wants.
Yeah, but Matt, here's the thing, mate. Daniel Levy wasn't playing on the pitch yesterday when you lost 3-0 to Nottingham Forest.
Jim, let me explain something to you, mate.
Yes.
Let me explain something to you. You got talkSPORT producers, yeah? They brought in Jim White.
It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, it's Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT this Wednesday lunchtime. We're always told, Danny, Simon, it's a results business. And I think when you look at Newcastle United at the moment, well, nevermore is a phrase like that more pertinent. When you look at last week, Danny, we know what happened with them in Europe. And of course, the opposition was formidable. Over in Barcelona, they lose 7-2. They had the opportunity at the weekend there to put that right to some extent, when they were up against their close rivals, fierce rival Sunderland. But hey, what do you know? Sunderland went on and won 2-1, a Brian Broby winner, right at the death, and Sunderland in the process completed a league double over Newcastle. Newcastle have now failed to beat Sunderland in any of their past 11 league meetings, the longest winless run for either club in the fixture's history. So in other words, they've got the Midas touch over them. They've jinxed them. They just cannot find a way, Newcastle, of doing anything against their great rivals. For the first time in the Saudi ownership, does it feel like 2 steps back this season for Newcastle? Simon, we spoke about messages and briefings from those at the top. We spoke about Chelsea doing exactly that. Earlier this week, after the Sunderland defeat, the chief executive, David Hopkinson, who you remember we interviewed when we were up there in the Northeast very recently, he decided to tell everyone, it hurts us, this is post-Sunderland, because we care. It's adversity, and adversity does not define us. It reveals us. There's a great quote, says Hopkinson, from Vince Lombardi, the legendary former American football coach. It's not whether or not you get knocked down, it's how you get up. So we'll have a tough day, and then we'll get up. We're building on something very real. That journey is not a straight line. It feels heavy, and it is, but that's okay. We won't carry it for very long. Our enthusiasm and our conviction will remain undiminished. Do we need to hear that from him? Do Eddie and the boys need to hear that from him? Do the fans need to hear that from him?
Well, I suppose you could say it's a rallying call from someone that's supposed to be in a position of influence and power. But for me, if you felt this burning desire to enthuse people with quotes from sporting prowess, you might have gone closer to home and looked at the actual fraternity that can throw you up many inspiring quotes over the years, rather than somebody that majority of Newcastle fans, unless they're NFL fans, would have very little visibility of, Vince Lombardi. And we all know that he was the creator of the Super Bowl, and the trophy is named after him. But other than that, people would probably lose their interest. We've got Bill Shankly and Bill Nicholson and a whole raft of great British managers that can quote wonderful quotes that we can react to if you feel the need to do it. I don't know why he feels the need to do it. Somewhere along the line he's drunk some Kool-Aid about how important his words are going to be. I mean, really and truly, whether it's right or wrong, the football manager operates in that space. And his
speaks damn well anyway.
And his view about reacting to adversity is probably more prevalent. What David Hopkinson can say, I've got some news for you. Here's a date for building a new stadium. That will inspire them more.
Right, exactly.
The question is, Jim, are Newcastle worse this season than before? Yes is the answer. Now, they've had 2 Champions League campaigns and a League Cup in Eddie Howe's time, and he overall done a great job, no doubt about that. This season, the recruitment's not worked. They tried to replace Isak with 2 strikers, Visser and Voltamada, who've both struggled. I actually think Visser is better than people give him credit for. He just needs a good run. Ilanga doesn't play well often enough. Flat to deceive. So who was in charge of recruitment? Who did that? There's the other big problem they've got, and where Eddie's problem, I like Eddie a lot, me watching Newcastle as long as they have this season, and they're a great watch generally because they go after teams, play high energy, but their second half performances and results in a league table, they'd be 16th. And that's because they're not adaptable. They're trying to mix a European campaign and a Premier League campaign, playing this 100 miles an hour. Now, you need a supreme squad of athletes to play that way. I don't see often enough Newcastle go, today we're going to go, let's be a bit more pragmatic. And it's great at home. It works sometimes.
Isn't it a constant trend for Newcastle? Every time they qualify for a Champions League season,
to struggle a bit.
They struggle in the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I think the first season when they qualified for the Champions League,
That's my point, because of the style.
So it is a Champions League situation. It's a squad situation.
Amount of games, yeah.
And also, at the beginning of the season, Newcastle were very poor away from home. They weren't able to get any points in the first sort of 5, 6, 7, 8 games in terms of or score any goals. And that may play into some of it.
And of course, it might get worse before it gets better, because if there's no European football for Newcastle United, it might be goodbye to some of the big names, Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali, to name but 2. But Eddie Howe was put in the spot. Of course he was, after the Sunderland game. Why have you failed to build upon last season?
The last summer was tough, to say the least. That was the hardest transfer window I've ever had. So, of course, we don't want to lose momentum in any way. We want to continue to bring the best players to the football club if we can, and we desperately don't want to lose our best players. So that combination's so important, but it does get harder and harder and more challenging for us because we don't have the revenues of the other clubs. I think the rules have made it very difficult for that momentum to go with the speed that it initially did. I don't know a way that we can beat that system. We have to follow the rules that are set. The club desperately want to be ambitious, but there's a limit to what we can spend, and that has a knock-on effect in everything that we do and the decisions that we've made previously. As I say, to not recruit for that many windows, I don't know a team that wouldn't suffer from that, and we certainly have. And then losing Alex last summer was a considerable blow. But again, we can't feel sorry for ourselves, and we can't use excuses. We have to find a way to be successful despite all of these things. But with that, I think there has to be an understanding of the tough conditions that we're working in.
So there's a bit of resilience at the end of that answer, Simon, from Eddie. Mm-hmm. But could this be the most difficult summer yet that they're about to face?
Could be, because players are desperate to play in Champions League and win trophies, aren't they? The best ones. So yeah, it could be, because Tonali's definitely going to be sought after because he's incredible, and Bruno as well, probably. Ultimately, though, I take Eddie's points, and he makes some good ones, but they spent over 100 million on 2 forwards. But they bought, as of now, they bought the 2 wrong ones, haven't they? He's been playing a wing. He's been playing a left winger centre forward. It's the manager's job to get those strikers playing better. Find a way to get them in the team to suit them instead of playing a left winger at centre forward.
Yeah.
That's on him.
And Eddie's talking about what they can and can't do financially. Revenues don't come into it, Simon, when they cannot beat Sunderland.
No, of course not. But those derby games take their own life, don't they? And they'll be disappointed. I was disappointed for them to some extent because I expected them to bounce back, not because I wanted Sunderland to get beat, but because I expected Newcastle to bounce back and take some of the heat out of the situation. And they were. I thought Sunderland were good throughout the whole game. Quite frankly, they were quite assured, despite the mistake they made by giving Newcastle the goal. He's right, Eddie, to some extent. What he's saying is, they cannot continue to grow the way they did from the outset, because he took a side that were languishing around the bottom 4, bottom 5, actually in the bottom 3 of the division, and within no short space of time, sailed them away from relegation zone, gave some feel-good factor back to teams, and got them into the Champions League the following season. Incredible. So that growth pattern was never going to continue unless he was able to match it with spend pattern. But he couldn't, because Ashley left them with the ability to be able to spend, because he never spent money in the way that other football clubs had, so they didn't have a PSR issue. So the new guy came through the door. The Ashley outgrade got a bounce, so the club's feel-good factor was there. They bounced back out of the relegation issues that everyone thought they were going to get relegated from. But the growth pattern that people were expecting from Newcastle was never going to happen. It was always going to slow unless he was able to rocket fuel it with the opportunities that Chelsea and Man City had. And he can't. And what he also can't do is what Chelsea and Man City never had to deal with, was understand that ultimately the best players are going to get nicked. So he can't build a better side, because all he's doing is, once he gets a side to a certain level and they start to look like they can really compete, their players get taken by legacy football clubs, and he's starting again the process.
But Simon, the bottom line, I think, is, should Eddie and Newcastle have done better in the Premier League than they've done? And I think the answer to that has got to be yes. They're 12th.
Oh, he'd say
they've
that.
They've lost more than they've won.
Eddie would say that.
But he would say why. He would say absolutely right. And then the question would be, is the answer, what's the answer? Why is it been so unsuccessful, and do we accept that answer? So if the answer is why has it been so successful, and we say it's because the Champions League campaign creates a scenario that Sunderland don't have to deal with. They haven't got to deal with a 7-2 tonking from an elite side like Barcelona, however good Barcelona aren't. Yeah. They're a top side in most people's worlds. And they haven't got to compete in the same way that Newcastle have, all the way up to a cup semi-final in the League Cup. They've had more games, stretched.
They've had more games than anyone, by the way.
That you know, the big thing about Newcastle is the manner in which they play creates outcomes for them. And in the second half against Sunderland, despite how good Sunderland was, Newcastle's legs were gone. Mm-hmm. Now, whether that's right or wrong, that's the explanation. Now, whether we accept Eddie's explanation, more importantly, whether the Newcastle fans and the Newcastle ownership model accepts the reasons why and does something to help overcoming that as the next opportunity presents itself, which will be next season.
Right. Well, according to the chief exec, David Hopkinson, our enthusiasm and our conviction will remain undiminished. There you go. Well, let's have a look for that. It's 12:30.
I mean, he himself may not feel that he wants to manage a football team right now. He may feel, with the loss of his father, that that's the last thing he wants to do. So who knows what's in that circumstance?
That's a very good point, Simon. So in terms of the future, has it now, in view of what you're saying, and I agree completely, has this now become more of a joint decision for Tudor and Spurs as opposed to the club alone?
No, not really. Because if Igor Tudor decides that actually this is a welcome distraction from the tragedy that he's just experienced in his life and he wants to manage the team, and you as an owner think that actually you've seen all you need to see from him prior to the tragedy in his personal life, you're still going to have to take a view. And all people that are sitting out there going, well, that's heartless, it's nothing to do with heartless. It's to do with the reality of the world that we live in. There is no point keeping somebody in a job if you were going to take him out of that job prior to the tragedy that's in his life. It might even, without wanting to be overly harsh, it might even cement the thinking, because you've got two situations. You've got, you are teetering on the point of saying this man is not capable of doing the job that we need him to do, and that's not a reflection just of him, it's a reflection of all of us, because the playing squad, us, an ownership model, everything is not right.
Yes.
We need some shock and awe, and it hasn't happened with him, coupled with the fact that you may now perceive him to be distracted for obvious reasons. So I think if your decision was made post the Forest game, in terms of you got beaten this Forest game, you were going to make a change, then with the best will in the world, you can do that with a great deal of empathy to the man. You will honour your commitment to him economically, I suspect.
Yeah.
And
we're going to start with Mo Salah, and talkSPORT has been told he's leaving Liverpool at the right time.
He will go down as one of the Premier League greats, but also one of Liverpool greats. And it would have been sad to see him leave on bad terms. He's going to get a proper send-off, and the Liverpool fans will get to thank him.
Former striker Neil Mellor there. Meanwhile, Mark Lawrenson agrees Salah gets into Liverpool's all-time top 10, but says there's been an alarming drop-off this season.
He might not have scored, he might have scored, whatever, but you just kind of know he's not quite the same.
Yeah. Yes.
That sentence, not quite the same, basically means you're knackered.
Elsewhere, Chelsea boss Sonia Bonpastor is demanding more respect for the women's game as she criticises the standard of refereeing. Two disallowed goals mean her side are 3-1 down to Arsenal in their Champions League quarter-final. Here's Chelsea's Lucy Bronze.
Nobody on the pitch knew, apart from the referee. Even Arsenal players were probably celebrating because I think they were a bit confounded by it as well.
The FA says it's proud of its diversity targets after Reform MP Suella Braverman called them utter woke nonsense. It wants a quarter of the England men's coaches to come from non-white backgrounds by 2028. And Tiger Woods is planning on playing at next month's Masters despite getting, in his words, his arse kicked on his return to golf in the indoor TGL finals.
Just gone 12:30 this Wednesday lunchtime. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Danny Murphy, and we are live on talkSPORT, coming to you live, of course, on YouTube as well. Before we go today at 1 o'clock, I'm going to put it to Danny quite simply. His former club, Tottenham, not Liverpool on this occasion, Tottenham, are they heading to the Championship? I'm not going to let Danny away with that. In the meantime, we head over to France because French club Lens have described PSG's request to postpone their top-of-the-table Ligue 1 clash as troubling because it would mean bowing, quotes, to the demands of the most powerful. The French FA have received another request from PSG to postpone their clash against Lens to help with more preparation for their Champions League quarter-final tie against Liverpool. We know that PSG successfully requested to have their game against Nantes before the Chelsea game postponed. So we know this happens, but Lons are saying not so fast. So the basic question here is, will the French bow to favouritism? Eric Bieldeman is top journalist with L'Equipe. Eric, bon après-midi, my friend. How are you? Where is this going? Are Lons going to get their way, or will PSG get their way?
Hi, good afternoon, my friends. I am afraid that I fear that Paris Saint-Germain will win the contest versus Lens because the French professional league is really very close to Nasser El Khelaifi, the chairman of Paris Saint-Germain, who is the chairman of French football, and also the chairman, I would even say, of European football through the European Club Association. So we have there a very strong power. And the meaning of French football is that European challenge, and to win an European trophy is more important than to respect the home league. To me and to most of the French football lovers, this is a shame. But this is where the money is, where the power is, and also we have to think that the French professional league is so weak that they couldn't even sell the TV rights of French League One last couple of seasons. So we know that we are in a situation where the extra power of Paris Saint-Germain is everything.
I mean, it's crazy, Eric. You've got to sympathise with Lens here, do you not? I mean, this is a first versus second game. They've done well. They've punched above their weight, as we would say, to get to second spot in the division. Just 1 point separates the two clubs. And they're chasing a first league title since 1998. But in their minds, they're being totally disrespected here.
They have been very badly treated. That's obvious. Lens is the 10th money club in the French Premier League. It is a very popular and hard working class club. The city is 50,000 inhabitants. It's nothing in terms of, I would say, today, if we look at England, I would say it's Blackburn Rovers when they were challenging Man United. That's something we could spot on 30 years ago.
Yeah.
This club is really looking to make the challenge on the fair way. First of all, they have 1 point behind, but Paris Saint-Germain has one game in hand because they didn't play Nantes. And when they will play Nantes, Nantes might be already relegated, so they will have three points, 3 points for nothing. If they do play Lens with a cool diary, they will have their first team. If they do play between the two Liverpool games, they will have to make some tactical and physical challenge. So it's completely unfair, and it's a shame for French football.
It is a shame for French football, as Eric says, Simon. I mean, to be quite honest, it's a power play here, and PSG and Nasser are winning the power play.
Yeah, I mean, it would appear so. I mean, ultimately, we've seen this argument being raged on the converse in English football, but the broadcasters come to play because the broadcasters are the ones that are having their slots filled with certain games, and they start demanding. And the arguments amongst the British clubs are about the timings of the games rather than a complete and utter rescheduling. This is a rescheduling, isn't it, Eric? This is not a game being delayed for 24 hours or something. This is a game being repositioned further into the calendar.
Yeah, we don't even know when it will be played. It will be played maybe in 3 or 4 weeks' time, and the league might be over at the time. And this is the peak of the season. Lens to play Paris Saint-Germain.
I mean, the materiality of it is that it doesn't necessarily give PSG an advantage. It gives PSG an opportunity to have their playing squad available at the same time as Lens' playing squad available. Lens aren't competing in Europe in the same way, potentially, that PSG are. So it is equalising the playing field out, but it's changing the dynamic of the fixture list to be able to do that.
Yeah, it is although it's disadvantaging Lens because they if you're playing your rivals when they're also planning and playing against a team of Liverpool's quality, the fatigue element and all that. So meritocracy.
Yeah, I mean,
goes
I'm supposing the argument could be: is it a case of that the teams? I mean, there's two arguments here, Rick, and they both of them are equally have merit. Is it the idea for you to compete in Europe as a French side and try and be significant in Europe, to come back into your own league and be fatigued so that you're disadvantaged? Is that the idea?
Yeah, the idea is to make the French clubs as efficient possible in Europe because after Paris Saint-Germain, Strasbourg, who plays in the Conference League against Mayence, the German team, is also asking for the same advantage to the French league. So it's a kind of deregulation of the whole system. And the only point where you can have the feeling that it can happen in the French league compared to the English Premier League or German, Spaniard or Italian is that there is no money, no TV money, right? So the French league is producing herself the game on TV. So they do what they want, and Paris Saint-Germain is the boss of the French professional league. That's the story.
Eric, I wonder what, on another matter, while we have you, I wonder what the French national coach Didier Deschamps thought. I wonder what you, as a top journalist in the French media, thought when you heard about Kylian Mbappe. This is almost so incredible, it's hard to believe. He had a knee injury, Danny, back in December, and we know that Real Madrid, the medical staff, decided to do a scan on the knee. The problem was they performed the MRI scan on the wrong knee. No problem was found on the uninjured right knee, of course, and as a result of that, Mbappe played 3 further games for Real Madrid before the mistake was realised.
If you want me to give you a proper answer, I think it's fake news. Because if you're Mbappe, you put your right knee on the scan, and you know you have pain on the left knee. How can you believe it so? Mbappe knows where he's injured. He can't go to a scan without knowing it. He denied himself. He denied that all the rumors about his knee and about all this story are not true. So
they got the right leg.
I'm sure they got the right leg, and it's too big to be. I think it's something which comes from I don't know where, and it makes so many big noise that I should believe that Mbappe knows when he put his leg to the doctor, the one they want to care on. That doesn't make sense.
Well, also, Jim, a partial knee ligament, you wouldn't be able to play 3 games.
No.
You'd 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in, you'd feel it. It would open up.
You and I know that, don't we?
Indeed.
You'd have felt it. Before you leave us, Eric, Zidane, this isn't fake news, is it? Or is it? To become the new French national manager after the World Cup when Deschamps goes?
It's not a news. It's a confirmation of something that everyone knew for the last, I would say, 12 months minimum. It's a fair choice. It's the most welcome choice for the French fans and the French national team. Everybody is happy about it. There is no bitterness in it. There is no negative memories to keep on with Deschamps, and there is not even, I would say, an extra pressure on him on the next World Cup to achieve, because he have had his own wonderful time. He knows it's the time to go. He have won everything that we could expect him to win.
Sure.
So we are, I would say, on this situation on a very smooth operation.
Fantastic. Eric, thank you so much. Merci bien. Zinedine Zidane, Danny, what's he ever done? Amazing. So what do you think? Top coach can carry on after Deschamps? Keep the French up there, punching it all in all ways?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got wonderful group of players, so there's not too much coaching needs to go on. It's more about motivating and keeping them on board, isn't it? And
to take them to win in the summer.
Got a good chance.
Yeah. Eric Bilderman with us live this lunchtime. Danny on Tottenham coming up.
Liver beating. Jamie O'Hara, ticking. Can you... Oh my God, what's going on? Oh my God. Can you... be ticking. You'll make the one hell of a beating. Can you be encouraging signs? Signs. Can you be signs? You'll make the one hell of a beating. Beavertown Brewery. 3-point lane. I hope you favour. The Sainsbury's Stadium. The big cockerel. Can you be cockerel? You'll make the one hell of a beating to Darius Defoe. Help me out. Spurs. You'll make the one hell of a beating. Has anyone seen the Gunners? Mike Keown. Can you be Keown? You're going to win a hell of a beating, Kemper. That Lucas MP. And that Lucas MP ain't going to forever. Gunnosaurus. Kemper. Arteta's light bulb. Can you be light bulb? You're going to win a hell of a beating with the dog. With the dog. What's up to him? He's still alive. Can you be Arsenal? You're going to win it.
You are useless. Honestly, you're a shambles for a man. What a weekend of football. Spurs. Oh my word. What on earth happened? What is going on at this football club? We're going down. Spurs are going down. Chelsea disrespected the ball again. What's happening to them? They're in shambles. Arsenal, they bottled it in the League Cup final. Does Arteta?
Jermaine Franklin this Saturday only on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
That's right, this weekend Moses Atoma takes on Jermaine Franklin. Let's look ahead to it with DAZN. Simon, Danny, I'm delighted former two-weight world champion Carl Frampton joins us live on the show this lunchtime. Carl, good afternoon. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, Jermaine was trying to tell us when he was in here, I'll be the man that changes the direction of travel for Moses Atoma. I'm going to make it different. I'm going to be formidable on the night, and I'll give him problems. Do you believe it?
Well, look, I like his confidence, but do I believe it? I'm not sure. I don't think there's very many heavyweights on the planet at the minute that are going to give Moses Atoma too many problems. Only a handful of them, I would suggest already at this stage. And he's still a kid, and he's only had, as this is 12th or 13th fight, something like that.
13,
so
yeah.
He's incredible, absolutely incredible. I said it, I got laughed at a wee bit, but I think people are starting to come around to my way of thinking. I said that he's the fastest hands since Mike Tyson as a heavyweight. And I get laughed at a little bit, but people are starting to see what I meant.
No, you're right. Carl, does he run through Jermaine Franklin? I mean, I've had this conversation with Paul Smith, with Adam Booth. Adam Booth's big thing was yesterday, he doesn't run through him if he doesn't want to, in terms of he might want to go in there, get some rounds in, and do it when he feels like it. I think he goes through him in the first 4 rounds. What do you think?
I have a feeling he could, yeah. And I think knowing Moses and his mentality, he'll probably want to try and get rid of him quickly and not, see round 6, 7, 8 or whatever. I think he'll want to just go through him as quick as possible, and that's why he's exciting. But I feel like it's a good fight for him, and it's well matched. And if there's anybody that potentially is going to give him rounds, Franklin is one of them guys. But I can't see him giving him too many rounds.
Still, I mean, obviously a lot of Franklin's credibility, Carl, comes from the fact that on paper, a lot of people think he beat Dillian White, and the fight that he had with Dillian White, albeit went to Dillian. Obviously, he frustrated Anthony Joshua for 12 rounds. But But he hasn't been in, Jermaine, has he, with anyone as ferocious and as powerful potentially as Moses Atoma?
No, he hasn't. He hasn't. So he'll notice a difference too. Obviously, people are talking about the step up here for Moses. I know he's fought.
There we go.
AJ, AJ and Dillian, but there's something really, really special about this lad, and I love everything about him. I love his combinations. I love his distance and how he gets in and out of range, and I love how fast his feet are as well. A lot of it doesn't make sense because he's so big. Like, he shouldn't be able to move like he does, but he does it.
How does it end then, Carl? Give me a round.
I think Atoma I think it'll be a few rounds. It'll not be a complete blowout, but when I say a few, I mean 3 or 4.
Okay, Carl, listen, good luck to Northern Ireland in the World Cup playoffs. Thanks for joining us. Atoma Franklin, live in DAZN. Don't forget, you can catch the fight live this Saturday night. It's live in talkSPORT as well, but it's live only in DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
Big fight build-up on talkSPORT with DAZN. Watch Moses Atoma versus Jermaine Franklin this Saturday, only on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
This time yesterday, sitting in the very seat that is occupied by one Danny Murphy, was one Gus Poyet, of course, a one-time Chelsea player, but a one-time Tottenham player as well. And we got on almost inevitably to the subject of Tottenham Hotspur right now. And of course, we know where they are, 17th in the Premier League, 1-7-31, just above West Ham. And obviously, the alarm bells are ringing. What did Poyet think regarding Spurs and a relegation battle?
They're in danger. I saw something in the derby that I didn't like, second half. And this weekend, the second half was as well, a little bit scary.
What did you see?
Well, it's like there is no way, because here is, like Simon said, you need to find the reason and sort it out. Now, we said in Spanish yesterday.
Yeah.
You don't have time now. You don't have time. And in the next game, I think it's Sunderland away. All the best to go up there. And you need to go there with something very clear. I think we lost the basics in football. Me as a coach, the basic things, the normal basic things that you do when defending, when, passing the ball with the angles, basic things. And also we lost a little bit the players in the best positions.
I mean, the bottom line is, Danny, Gus Poyet suggesting there, it's time. They're running out of time to get it right. And if they don't get it right, they'll drop. Do you believe that?
Yeah. They look all over the place. They showed a bit of resilience second half at Liverpool. Other than that, the games I've seen and have been pretty woeful. And they don't look together. It doesn't look like you can see. When you're fighting down the bottom, the one thing you got to have is like a resilience and togetherness and a desire to defend.
Did you watch them in the first half against Forest and think they were going to get beat 3? Because I didn't.
No, they did all right for 20, 25 minutes. They caused Forest a few problems, but it felt like Forest were weathering the storm, and they dug in and they got men behind the ball, and they had that one that hit the bar with a long throw in and a couple of half chances. But you expect that because they just had a good week. But when Forest then got the goal, and the really worrying thing was the capitulation. The energy didn't go the other way, which it should do when you're 1-0 down in terms of your reaction. They
shrunk.
They shrunk, and there was a bit of fear in them, which is understandable because they've struggled at home so badly. And the expectation of the crowd is there, the disgruntlement's there, and it takes a strong mindset to play through that. But Gus is right. Defensively, you have to be clued up, switched on, do the basics right, and they don't. They don't, and that's the coach's fault.
Are they going to get out of this?
That's the coach's fault.
That's the question.
Are they going to get out of this?
I've got a feeling no at the minute. I think
they'll go down.
And I think they need to change the coach. That'll give them a chance. And whoever goes in has just got to stop conceding goals, because you'll nick a goal. You don't need to worry about how you score.
Yeah.
Simplify the game.
Yeah.
More pragmatic. Play percentages. That's how you get out of it. When I watch Forest at City and when I watch Forest second half against Tottenham, they didn't have a good shape without the ball. Really good shape. And, that's basic stuff.
Yeah.
West Ham now under Nuno, they've got a good shape, good platform. I know Villa beat them. Villa are a good side. It's hard to go to Villa when you're playing well. Never mind when you've. That was only West Ham's second defeat in 7. So they've got a bit about them. They're having a go. And the reason I think Tottenham if they keep the manager, will go, is because I don't see anybody who's just about to get fit or sitting on the bench waiting in the wings who's got the capability of grabbing a game and calming everybody down and getting them playing.
Yeah. I mean, Poyet would... he virtually told us yesterday, Simon, if he got a phone call from the hierarchy, yes, he would go in there. I've heard Tim Sherwood's name. Are there people out there, with all due respect to Igor Tudor, who's back in Croatia following the family bereavement, if he does depart, is there a name in your mind that you would throw in who would get it right for Tottenham?
Well, right now, the one that screams to me, but he's not Tottenham, so Sam Allardyce is the man who knows how to get results at that, but he's been out of the game a while, so it's probably unrealistic. Tim Sherwood would be a good one. Tim knows what he's doing. Tim played in sides that were good defensively, pragmatic, knew how to get results. He kept, I think he kept Villa up, didn't he, that time he went in there, and I think he's confident, strong.
So they're out there. And Danny,
out there, yeah.
Finish on this with me. I'm looking, Simon, at their fixtures. In the remaining fixtures, there's no Arsenal, there's no Manchester City, there's no Manchester United. So they've got Sunderland, Brighton, Wolves, Villa, Leeds, Chelsea and Everton. Do they get much out of those?
Well, as I said, again, depends if they make a change, because I think it can help get the fans on side and actually just change the narrative a little bit. But I've looked at all the teams' fixtures down there, and I think they're struggling. I think they could go.
You still think West Ham will go?
I do, and not because I want them to, as West Ham fans, to be alighting upon. I don't. If anything, if you want a media story, you want Forest or Spurs to go down and West Ham stay out, because if Forest go down and West Ham stay out, it's all about Marinakis and Nuno Espirito Santo. If Spurs go down, it's a huge story, because you've got rid of Daniel Levy, you've got this huge stadium, this massive football club.
Yeah.
So there's much more interest in that than West Ham going down.
Sure. You know, just quickly, West Ham's next 4 games: Wolves at home.
Is that the next game?
Yeah.
West Ham's next game.
Wolves can't win away. Palace away, who are struggling, not playing that well. They've got Everton at home and Brentford. Now, that's 4 games, all due respect to that opposition, that
They
West
can do
Ham will
something.
feel.
Yeah.
When you look at Tottenham's next 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Don't miss kick-off tonight from 7, because Reshman Chowdhury will host a special edition that takes a deep dive into Tottenham's troubles this season. Too good to go down? A deep dive into Spurs. That's tonight from 7 on Kick-Off and talkSPORT. Mr. Murphy, superb. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As for you, Manana at 10. It's 1 o'clock this Wednesday lunchtime. Have a great afternoon.